I want to get his point out, but I do want him to respond to this point. You understand when he sees the question coming, he starts to try to speak over me because he's afraid of the question. But guess what? I'm gonna ask the question anyway. All right. Is Trump not on an audio? And he's saying, well, Trump can declassify anytime he wants. Gavin, let me ask you very directly. Are you saying that Trump, as a former president, right this moment, can take a document that is classified that he never declassified when he was president? He can take that document and now declassify it as a private citizen. That's my question to you, Gavin. Can he do that?
Documents that were pertaining to his presidency can be declassified. These documents were taken from the White House while he was still president.
So you're saying that he can take a document that is classified right now and he can
He has
declassify
the
it
power to declassify documents.
right
If
now,
he had it in his possession
right
after
now.
the presidency, anything he brought with him, he declassified by virtue of bringing them with him. These are
So
his
why did
documents.
he?
These are his
On,
papers.
why is he on that audio recording saying that the document is
Well,
classified?
I know you're either deaf or dumb, but I told you numerous times that Trump, unlike your autistic candidate, is able to shoot the shit and talk to people, just shooting the
So
shit, not talking in a literal sense. You guys can only speak literally because you're incapable.
your legal
I'm not,
defense
what
is
do you mean my legal defense? I'm not
your
his lawyer.
honor.
I don't even
He
know.
was
I'm not even
shooting the
privy.
shit. That's
I
your
don't
legal
even know.
defense.
You and me do not know all the details
Okay.
surrounding this case.
That's
I'm
no,
telling you that
we
he
know everything
has
surrounding the
the
case because you're
executive
undisciplined
authority.
candidate
He has
because
the executive authority to declassify documents, which you're not disputing, which
he's
you're
a
not
private
challenging.
citizen right now.
You
He
just
doesn't
keep
have the
going back to
executive
this
authority to
tape.
do anything.
And I
He
just
doesn't
want
have
everyone to know that Free is not paid by the Trump campaign to make DeSantis look so bad and to push left-wing talking points. But again, I highly
it's
encourage
not
you
a left
to
wing talking point.
continue
It's
to
not a left wing.
continue to push these
Here's
talking
what I'm gonna do.
points.
Here's what I'm gonna do. It's not a left wing talking point. My point, and the point that the DeSantis campaign should be making, is if you send an undisciplined buffoon into the general election, he will lose it. What evidence do we have that he's an undisciplined buffoon? Well, case in point, he's on an audio recording with a document spelling out the crime for everyone to hear. He's recording it and the writer is recording it because he's an undisciplined buffoon. And if you send an undisciplined buffoon into the general election, he's not only going to lose it, it will be the worst electoral loss in the history of this country. And again, the evidence is all there. All the things that he's getting indicted for are because he's an undisciplined buffoon. We got Georgia coming up. Okay. An undisciplined buffoon says, I need you to find me exactly as many votes as I need to win. Regardless of what you think his intentions were there, a disciplined person would never allow themselves to be recorded saying that type of nonsense, man, where it can be construed by a reasonable person that hey man, he's trying to lean on this person to try to overturn the election to get exact amount of votes he needs to win. I need you to find me that many votes. Again, a disciplined person would have handled that a different way. He would never be on an audio recording leaning on the Secretary of State. A disciplined person would have not been on an audio recording saying, hey, this document is currently classified. I don't have the power to declassify it, but let me show it to you anyway. And that is not a left or a right thing. If you are a Republican, you should want a disciplined person as the head of your ticket. You should want a disciplined person to be the person that's the standard bearer of the party, or we will lose, period. And Gavin has no response for that. He has no backup, no answer. He's going to say, oh, well, those are left wing talking points. Not left wing talking points. It's strategy. If you're throwing up bricks every night, I don't want you on my basketball team. If you're throwing interceptions every 5 minutes, I don't want you as the quarterback of my football team. It's not a left or a right thing. That's a smart or stupid thing. Only a stupid person wants someone who is as undisciplined as Trump to be the quarterback of their team. You throw interception after interception, but I'm supposed to put you in the game? Get the heck out of here, man. Are you kidding me? Go ahead, Waxy. Answer that.
I really hope the Trump campaign gives you a contract because you are by far the worst spokesperson for DeSantis I've ever seen. I mean, I know they're probably cringing that you're even saying these things. That's why your guy is down by 40 points. That's why you're now making noise to try to, muffle me, I guess. That's why you mute me while you go on are parading Russia Gate 2.0. You have no self future Republican. I don't think DeSantis will ever be president, so I don't think it'll hurt him, which is probably why he's going along with it. But it'll certainly do damage to our republic and to the presidency as a whole. By 40 points in primary polls. That's why he's down vis-a-vis Biden in the general election poll. And that's why all girl in high school back in December in his polls, talking points to attack Trump and Trump supporters, and you talking points to attack Trump and Trump supporters, and you have no path to win this primary. There's no path for you to win.
Notice you're still not boosting your guy. You're
In terms of
about his
electability.
discipline. Go ahead.
I'm responding to you about electability and discipline. Yeah, discipline is
Work.
5 minute
People
monologue. Can I get
people
my
who
points
work
across?
people who work create strong economies.
Yeah,
Trump
yeah.
was just a was just a
Trump created an environment that allowed the positions that he has taken that I did not support. I have no
perfect. Has he
problem
ever
doing that.
admitted that he was
You are
wrong on any of those
incapable. Can
things?
I
Has he
respond to
ever
you? For
admitted that he
Christ's
was
sake, you are
wrong?
such a child. You are
Has he
such a
ever
child.
admitted that he was wrong? Simple question,
Has
yes or
he
no?
ever admitted he's wrong in his life? Yeah, I'm sure he's admitted he was wrong. Actually,
I'm
I have
asking
on
you
good
about in
authority
the
that he's.
presidency
I
and
know
any
he
of those
admitted he was
policy
wrong to
positions that you
endorse Mitch
disagree with.
McConnell. He's regretted some endorsements. He's regretted endorsing Mitch McConnell. I think he has a very, forgiving and Caesarian nature to him, where he's going to turn the other cheek and give people the benefit of the doubt. I think that's a good
I'm
thing.
asking about
I
his
think that.
I'm asking about his policy mistakes, his missteps. Has he ever admitted that he was wrong?
Will you ever admit that DeSantis locked down and also made mistakes in Florida? I mean, two can play this game. Also, why is
I
this
wait a
entire
minute. I think
debate?
that's
Why
implicit.
is
So
this
let
entire
me let me
debate just
state it
you
clearly.
shouting
Let me state it
questions and then
clearly.
muting me when I respond?
DeSantis initially for a short period of time following the
What is
recommend.
define
Well, let
short
me
period
let me
of
finish
time,
my
Chris?
statement.
Define
Let me
short.
finish my
You don't
statement.
let
See
me finish.
again. Hey
You do
man,
10-minute monologue.
here we go again. DeSantis initially for a short period of time following recommendations of President Trump locked down. Yes, he did. Not as stringently as some of these other places did, but he initially did. And then he course corrected. He changed. He repented. I mean, that to me is a sign of a good leader. That is a sign of a good leader because nobody's perfect. But the man course corrected and brought in Dr. Ladapo and he made better decisions at that point. And he will even admit, hey, you know what? We followed some directions that turned out to not be really, really great, and we changed it up. We switched it up. We course corrected. That is a leader. That is a leader, not a caricature. The caricature is Donald Trump, who puts forth this thing that he's never wrong. And that, if we lose, it's not my fault. But if we win, it's I get all the credit. This guy is a clown. He's a caricature. I want to support a caricature or a clown. I want a real
You're
person.
a character.
You're a caricature. Go ahead, Gavin. Go ahead, Gavin. Say it. Oh, shucks.
Is
You
this the only
remain
power
anonymous.
you have in your life? Is the mute button in this space? I feel very bad and sorry for you. It's pretty pathetic
Defend your
existence.
guy. Stop talking about me. Defend your guy. Defend your
Talking about
guy.
you, you mute
You
me.
you
You go
you
on these
you you
5 minute
defend your guy.
monologues, and you just sound
Now
like a
you
total
stuttering.
joke of a man. You
Now you
sound like a
stuttering.
total joke. You're
Now you're
pathetic.
stuttering. Again,
I'm not stuttering. I just called
80%,
you
80%
pathetic.
of your speaking time has been attacking me, and I'm asking you to
Eighty
defend.
percent of my speaking time has been muted by you because this is the only time in your life you feel powerful. Again, it's sad. It's pathetic. The
Okay, go
entire
on. Go
Simp
on,
camp
Gavin.
has a
Go
lot of
on,
issues.
Gavin.
What am
Go
I even
on,
you
Gavin.
just ramble about the same thing. Why don't we actually talk about DeSantis in the future? What is his path to win? What are his policies on trade? How is he going to win the primary? How is he going to win the general? You guys constantly litigate the past. You talk about Trump ad nauseum, and then you mute people because you have no future, you have no plan. There's
All
a
right,
reason he
I'll
launched his
talk about how
campaign.
DeSantis wins the
Why are you
general
cutting me
election.
off? You are
I will
such a
talk about how
coward.
DeSantis wins
Stop
the
cutting
general
me off.
election. You asked how DeSantis wins the general election, and I'm gonna tell you
You're so
exactly how he wins the
pathetic.
general election, right? Because
He doesn't.
you can talk about individual policies. Listen, we need to get a
What
we need to
policies?
get
He
a
has no
coalition.
platform on his
We need to get a
website because he
coalition.
doesn't want to come
We
out and
need
say anything because he's totally
we need a
consulted and can't.
coalition of voters. We need a coalition of voters.
Yeah, the coalition that Trump built that broke the blue
Y'all,
wall,
let me
that
finish.
coalition,
Let me
the same
finish my
the
statement.
same low propensity
Uh,
voter coalition that DeSantis can't win.
guys, do I mute
What do you
them
mean
or do I
finish? You go
continue to
on
try to talk
10
over
minute
them?
monologues and then when you unmute me, I can't
You
make any
asked me
points or
how
ask you any
DeSantis wins the
questions.
general election, soy boy.
You
Relax,
talked for
man.
10 minutes about your
All
ram.
right, here we go. Sorry, man. This guy's he's so soy, man. He can't control himself. All right. So listen, he asked me how DeSantis wins the general election. And that's a really good question. That is a really good question because, the large majority of voters, they're not paying attention to the election right now. They're not paying attention to individual issues. They have an overarching theme that guides the way they vote in every single election. And I'm going to tell you something, man. DeSantis struck a nerve when he started talking about parental rights and my right as a parent to control, what information and whether or not my child is being indoctrinated by the left. That is a huge issue. That's an issue that crosses races. That's an issue that crosses cultures, and that is an issue that crosses from right to left. You can pull people from the left on that issue. There are people. I'm on vacation right now in California. There are people in California that I've had conversations with. Orange County, Los Angeles County, people I've had conversations with just in the course of doing business, and we talk about schools and we talk about Disney movies and we talk about just everything going on with kids because that's my whole life is my kids. And those people who are natural lefties, natural Democrats, are looking at DeSantis and they're looking at the issue of parental rights and they're looking at the issue of um, their kids being indoctrinated with materials that they don't want them to see in school. And they're saying, you know what? I voted Democrat my whole entire life, but I could cross over on this issue because it's gone too far. Trump had 4 years in office. He did not address any of this. These trans issues blew up, exploded under his watch. The culture got lost to the left under his watch. Nobody really believes that he is going to fight to protect our kids. He held a celebration of gay marriage at Mar-a-Lago, said we're fighting for the LGBT community and we're fighting hard. Those were his words. And that wasn't a long time ago. That was recent. That was in the off season while he wasn't president anymore. He said he's going to fight hard for the LGBT community. Nobody believes that he's going to protect our kids. And so when people on the left, people who are Democrats but are worried about their kids, are looking for a candidate that they can support, they're looking at DeSantis saying, you know what, man, I think I might cross over. I might cross over for this election. I need to send a message. DeSantis will win the general election. He'll win it in a Ronald Reagan-esque fashion, meaning that he's going to win more electoral votes than we've seen in a long time. It won't even be close because parents are fed up. We want to say, we want to protect our doggone kids. Trump had all 4 years to do that. He did not do that for us. You can't now lie to me and say that he's going to do it now. He's not going to do it. He had the power. He had the Oval Office. He had the Resolute Desk. He had the bully pulpit. He never spoke to any of these issues. None of them. None of them. They exploded under his watch. So don't you dare gaslight me into thinking that he's going to now protect my kid from all this indoctrination, that he's now going to be this amazing culture warrior. He will not. DeSantis will.
Oh wow, I got unmuted. That's great. Again, like this debate is going nowhere because you do these 10-minute monologues where we can't even keep you focused and you ramble on about seven different topics. The beginning you were talking about electoral coalition, so I'll start with that, and please don't cut me off and mute me again because you're a coward. But anyway, as I was saying, Trump had the highest share of the minority vote, I think, since the 1960s for Republican. He built a coalition. He expanded the tent. He brought in first time voters. He actually looked at the electoral map and realized that the old coalition, the suburbanites, country club coalition wasn't working. It failed twice. It failed with Romney and it failed with McCain. And he was able to devise a coalition that brought low propensity voters, that brought first time voters, that brought working class minorities into the tent, and was able to flip in 2016 the entire vaunted blue wall that had not been broken since Reagan. You all want to dismiss that and act like that didn't happen. You also want to dismiss the fact that the quote unquote loss in 2020 boiled down to 40,000 votes in one of the worst electoral environments for an incumbent in history. Anyone, any incumbent, any party would have lost that race, lost quote unquote, due to the factors that were completely historical in nature. The Summer of Love, which was basically like a color revolution, the pandemic, all the impacts of that on the economy, all of these things added up to take down a president who was probably going to win a massive reelection had those things not happened. And no one, not DeSantis, nobody in the same position would have won. Again, we can talk about the future now. We can talk about the state level polling. We can talk about the national level polling. All of those point in favor of Trump. They don't point in favor of DeSantis. So again, you can go and him and haw about all these different, hunches that you have and all your feelings and all your, analogies, but none of those add up to anything quantitative. None of them add up to anything real. It's just your personal experience. At the end of the day, Trump will win. Trump will win this primary. I believe Trump will win this general, and he'll have a second term, and it's going to be fantastic, just like the first term. The first term that you guys continue to dismiss as nothing, that you continue to dismiss the successes he had economically, you continue to dismiss the successes he had in terms of foreign policy, all of these massive accomplishments that he was able to achieve in a very short in one term, under all the duress, under the entire pressure of the deep state apparatus going after him, he was able to actually get real solid results for the American people. And he inherited a Republican Party that was completely out of lockstep, not only with his vision, but the vision of the party at large, which was a populist America First coalition. He inherited a party of Paul Ryan. So he was fighting a two-front war against the rhinos, against the Democrats, against the deep state, against all these malevolent actors. And he was still able to push through a massive agenda that restored prosperity to this country, kept us safe, and strengthened our position abroad. All of this stuff you want to dismiss as nothing, and you want to constantly relitigate COVID because that's the only thing you guys have. And as I've said repeatedly, if that's the only thing you guys have, then you're going to lose this primary and you're going to lose it bad.
Did
And
I
all the
just talk
polling
about
has
COVID, or
reflected
did I
that.
just talk about the fact that parents want to say?
Why, why,
Did I
why
talk
is
about
it that
COVID,
you get
or
to
did I just
talk for
talk about the
10
fact that
minutes? Why
parents?
is it you get to
Did I
talk for
just talk
10
about the
minutes
fact
and then you cut me off?
that parents want to be able to protect their kids, and that Trump has lost the culture? He did nothing while the culture was moving to
He
the
was the
left.
most pro-life president. He repealed Roe v. Wade with his
He
appointment to
didn't
the
repeal
Supreme
Roe v.
Court.
Wade. The Supreme
Oh,
Court.
how would it have happened
Let me
without his
finish my
appointment of
statement. Let
judges?
me finish my statement,
Why
dude.
would I let
This
you finish? You speak for 10 minutes and mute
again.
me, and then when I try to speak and get a
Let
word
me
in, you
finish
cut
my
me off.
statement. Let me finish my statement. He did not repeal Roe v. Wade. There has been a pro-life movement in this country that has sprung up since Roe v. Wade was
What
passed.
successes did
Wait,
they
wait,
have up
stop
until
for a
Trump?
moment. Stop for a moment. Stop for a moment.
Yeah, yeah,
Stop for a
yeah.
moment.
Mr. Mute is
There's
going to
been a
tell me to stop
pro-life
for a moment.
movement. There's been a pro-life movement that has existed, that has fought the fight, that has been fighting the fights, that has tried to put conservative Supreme Court justices on the bench. That's
Who
why you
did?
even have a Federalist Society list that Trump could choose from, because he's not intellectually curious on his own. He didn't know who any of those people were. He got a list from the Federalist Society and he picked the name off the list. Congratulations, Mr. Trump.
He
You can
actually
take a name off
interviewed
a
them.
list.
He actually interviewed them, met
So
with them,
so
talked to them extensively.
I'm not giving
But
Trump credit
continue
for
your
Roe v.
revision of it.
Wade. I'm not giving Trump credit for Roe v. Wade.
Of course not, because you don't want
And
to
then
give Trump
after the
credit for anything
2022
because you're an
elections,
unhinged leftist masquerading as a simp.
after the 2022 elections, he proceeded to blame the pro-life movement, and say that they were the reason why we lost the 2022 elections and not him. Right. So he turned his back on the pro-life movement the second he had an opportunity. Then he proceeded to go and do a celebration of gay marriage at Mar-a-Lago, right? And he proceeded to say that he's going to fight very hard for the LGBTQ plus community. Those were his words. Those were his words. He is not fighting for my kids. He's not fighting to protect my kids from this crazy culture that sprung up, that really got its legs under his presidency. He's not doing that. He's not protecting. He says, "Oh, I'm going to protect kids from child mutilation." Why didn't you do that while you were in office, goofball? Like he's talking about all these things that he's going to do. He had 4 years in office. He accomplished none of those things. He accomplished none of those things. We lost we lost elections because of this guy, but we lost the culture, which is what I'm most concerned about. We lost the culture because of this guy. And you don't have an answer for that. You're gonna say, "Oh, well, you just keep talking about COVID." No, I'm talking right now about the coalition that why the rationale for why people will vote for DeSantis but won't vote for Trump. They're gonna vote for DeSantis because he's a disciplined guy and he's gonna do what he says he's gonna do. But in addition to that, parents from across political spectrum, across cultures, different races, are all going to rally around DeSantis because we want to protect our doggone kids. And Trump has not spoken to that at all. He has done nothing to help with that. And he's moved the culture left. He's moved the Republican Party left. He's moved
Yeah,
the
well,
Republican Party left.
that's laughable. Trump
He's the
was the
only he's the
original.
only
Can
Republican
I
president to
respond?
hug a
Oh
rainbow
my
flag on
God,
stage. He's the
so
only
unhinged.
Republican president to hold a celebration of gay marriage at
Can I
Mar-a-Lago.
respond? You gonna let me respond free? Is this a free
Respond to
debate or is
exactly
this
what I
just
just
like
said right
a
there. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Right. Trump is the original anti-PC candidate. Trump is the one that went against PC woke culture before anyone could even like come up with those terms. He came onto the stage, he spoke truth to power, and he went against all these established talking points, whether it was on illegal immigration, whether it was on these radical leftists, whether it was on fake news, whether it was on the war in Iraq, you name it. He was able to speak truth to power. All of these things you're talking about are things that are part of Trump's agenda, part of protecting the children, part of getting rid of all this DEI in the system, in the institutions.
Why
All of
didn't he do it when he was in
what are
office?
you talking about? He did do it. He had executive orders going after these things. In fact, a lot of the things that DeSantis has replicated in Tallahassee with his supermajorities were originally things that Trump had instituted via executive order at the federal level. So again, like you're just playing
Hey
this
guys,
game
you can
where you
go
want
to Fact Base. You can go to Fact
you're
Base.
just
It's
fact. Are
F
you
A
fact checking
F
me
A.
now?
You can go to Fact
You're
Base,
such a
and you
clown.
can look up almost every public comment that Trump has ever said in his entire
You
presidency.
literally sound like a
You
left
can
winger.
you
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 sound, and
can
I'm
look up
so glad you
every
keep
you can
talking.
look
And I
up
want
every
this to go
comment
on
that
forever.
Trump, every public statement that Trump has made in his presidency. You will not find him pushing back against any kind of woke culture. You won't find him pushing it back against the
What
trans.
are you
You
talking
won't find
about?
him pushing back against the trans movement.
Oh my God.
You won't find him pushing back against child genital mutilation. You won't find him pushing back against
Let's
any
just
of
be
that stuff.
honest. You've always hated Trump.
You
You've
won't find the
always hated
words
Trump. You've
you
always hated Trump. You can't give him
you
credit
won't
for
find the
anything.
words parental rights.
You
Parental
you
rights.
totally dismiss the fact that he was able to appoint conservative justices to the SCOTUS to get Roe v. Wade
Oh my
elected. I'm sure you
gosh.
would have been a
Oh
Cruz
my
person.
gosh.
Cruz would not have won in
Guys, breaking
2016.
news. Hold on,
What's
hold on.
breaking
Breaking
news?
news. No,
Oh
no, no.
my God.
I need to address this. This is breaking
Yeah,
news.
you because you don't let me
No, no,
speak.
no.
All
This
you
is
do is
important.
ramble.
This is important. This is
It's
breaking, and I'm
important.
gonna
It's important.
let me read this to you guys right now. This is
Please
breaking.
read.
I'm gonna
Breaking.
make news here right now. A president appointed a Supreme Court justice. Oh my gosh. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. A president.
Did you what is wrong with you in this mute button? Like, what is the deal?
You name
Can
another
you argue
Republican.
without
Could Mitt
muting?
Romney? Could Mitt Romney have picked a name off of a list from the Federalist? Ladies and gentlemen, this is amazing. This is
You
huge.
are
Bro, you just converted me. I am now a Trump supporter. Give me my MAGA hat.
you
Where
are
is my
so
MAGA hat?
unhinged. This whole space just
No,
shows how unhinged the DeSimps are. You can't
no,
debate. You
no,
mute
no.
constantly. You
You said
ramble. You cut
he
people
appointed
off.
two Supreme Court justices, and you
Yes.
just
Who
completely
else did
changed my
it? Who could have
mind
done it?
about Trump.
One. He won. He appointed these justices. They repealed Roe v. Wade, and you're totally dismissing it. You're completely dismissing it. You're dismissing his
I'm
entire record
absolutely not.
as
I'm doing the
president. And
opposite.
I
I'm telling
encourage
you that
you,
you have
free, stop
changed my
interrupting me.
mind.
Stop interrupting me.
You
Stop
have
muting
changed
me.
my
You're just
mind
such a
on Trump
child.
because I
You
didn't
are so.
know, because I don't think any other Republican president could have picked the name off the list from the Federalist Society. And so now you've completely changed me, man. That is a profile in strength and courage
So are
to,
you going to
to
go into
fill a
quiet
vacancy.
time now, free quiet time? Let other
he
people
he
speak.
filled
I
a
know you
vacancy,
don't
man.
debate, and you have no. I know you have no decorum, and you can't host these
Yeah,
things, and
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
want to
No,
actually
no,
have
but
a
listen, I'm
neutral,
trying to give you your
moderated
props, dude.
debate.
I'm
You
trying to
just
I'm trying to let
you
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 know
you
that
you. Is this your new tactic? Is this your
your argument is
new
that
tactic
Trump
to
is a
smarm?
conservative because he picked
You
Supreme
haven't
Court
even let me
justices.
make an argument because you mute me every 5 minutes and then you
Oh,
talk over me.
oh, I'm sorry.
You think this makes you
I'm
guys look good? There
sorry.
is a ton of people that are watching you that
Oh,
think you're a clown.
oh.
You're getting blown. You want to reference the
Gavin, you
comments? You're
okay?
getting blown up in the comments.
Gavin, you okay?
I'm fine, bro. You sound like a moron.
Gavin,
I'm
Gavin,
fine.
Gavin, it's gonna be okay, man. Listen, listen.
Yes,
This has
yes.
been
I'm
a
so glad this is
I
recorded.
keep
You're a
forgetting.
clown. No wonder you
Listen,
didn't go on. You don't want to go on
I
Tim
keep
Pool because you're
forgetting
a
that this has
clown.
been a tough cut. You got fired on Twitter, so this has been very difficult for you. This has
You
been a
guys
very
have
difficult
nothing.
time.
You guys have just shown
Do not
yourselves
throw
to be
laughing
some of the
emojis at
lowliest.
Gavin, fellas. Like, ladies and gentlemen, do not throw laughing emojis at Gavin. He
You're
lost his job on
so
Twitter. So
you have no self reflection. You don't understand how bad you're making yourself
let's
look.
continue moving. How do you
Clueless.
expect Trump to govern from? How do you expect Trump to govern from a
Why
prison
don't I
cell?
respond to all the nonsense you just said before you change the topic again and then mute me? Like, why don't you just settle down, calm down,
Oh.
mute yourself, and show some self control?
All right, man. Listen,
All right, man.
let's continue.
Mute yourself for like 5 minutes, please. I think
Let's get
everyone
back
wants
to the
that.
look. What do you think Trump's
I've been
accomplishment
trying to, but you're insane.
outside of appointing Supreme Court justices? Congratulations.
Outside of all his massive accomplishments in his first term that you want to
Let me know what
continuously
his All right,
disregard, can I get one word in?
can
Can
you
I
tell
get
me what
one
his
word?
massive accomplishments were that he did not negate by shutting down the country
He
during
didn't
COVID? Go ahead.
he didn't shut down the country. There were long tail risks associated with COVID. We didn't have all the information we have now. You
Mm-hmm.
want to play this theoretical hypothetical game where you
Mm-hmm.
put DeSantis as this ubermensch back in time where he has 100% hindsight and he will govern and act in accordance to all the information we know in the present. That's not how it works. That's not how it operates.
Interesting.
Wait,
He
can I
reopened his state
finish?
very quickly.
Can I finish?
Interesting.
Can I
DeSantis
finish?
reopened his state very quickly without the benefit of
What
hindsight.
is very quickly? He
He
was
just
locked down for
he,
months. What are you
no, no,
talking
no, it was
about?
not
He
locked
had
down
a
for
worse
months.
track record than Brian Kemp, Christy
All
Noem,
right,
several
let
other
me post to the
governors.
jumbotron because I have a whole thread with videos of Trump saying that
Why
DeSantis
can't
did
you
not lock
debate?
down.
Why can't you debate without cutting me off, muting me, and allowing me to finish my thought? All you do is do monologues, then you redirect the discussion, and then you interject. Let me
Uh huh.
actually make a point. And actually, I would like to ask you some questions in this debate. The debate that I agreed to do, where I would be a co-host and we wouldn't allow to mute each other, but you didn't want to agree to that because you're a disingenuous liar. The same reason you claimed that I wouldn't debate you originally when you were the one to decline a Timcast debate, and we see why right now. Again, you play this hypothetical, you play this 100% hindsight game. It's all laughable. It's all a joke. You constantly litigate it. You sound like a leftist. You're disregarding every accomplishment that Trump had in his first term, where he was under massive pressure from the deep state, from the rhinos, from the Democrats. You just want to brush that under the table and act like none of it happened, that he had no successes on the economy, that he had no successes on foreign policy, that he had no successes in shifting the Overton window, changing the discussion. You guys are copying all these elements of Trump's
Mm-hmm.
platform, Trump's agenda that he brought to the forefront against the odds, against the grain, against the party establishment. You're taking
Mm-hmm.
on those things.
He
You're
is the
disregarding.
establishment.
Can I finish? You
He is the
disregard.
establishment.
Can I finish? Yeah, he's the established. That's why you say you say in one breath he's under indictments all over
Who
the place, and
endorsed Paul Ryan?
you
Who
give
endorsed Paul
validity to the
Ryan?
indictments.
Does
You
anybody
give.
know
Can
who
I
endorsed Paul
finish?
Ryan?
You give validity to
Does
the
anybody
indictments
know
in one
who
breath. You
does
give.
anyone
Yeah,
know
yeah.
who hired John?
One of
Does anyone know who
DeSantis's
hired
biggest
John Bolton?
backers. Yeah,
Anyone know
one of
who
DeSantis's biggest backers.
does
And
anyone
yes, there
know
was
who
a problem.
hired
There
John
was a
Bolton?
problem. There certainly
Anyone?
was a problem with the RNC and the
Hello?
establishment in the
Bueller?
first few years.
Bueller,
What?
does anyone know who hired John Bolton?
Who are you speaking to? Me and you were talking. I know
Who
you're
hired
trying to
John
avoid
Bolton?
discussing with me.
Who hired John Bolton?
Who fired John Bolton? Who didn't want to hire him originally? What entire party apparatus, entire
That's
establishment
like who
that
burnt down
DeSantis
the house,
rose up
but
through the
who
ranks
cleaned it
of?
up after it was burnt
What is
down, huh?
DeSantis's? Okay, you want to talk
Like,
about
come
John
on,
Bolton? Let's
bro.
talk about foreign policy. Let's talk about foreign policy. What are
No, no, no.
DeSantis's
Why
views
you?
on foreign
John
policies?
Bolton is foreign policy. Who
Yeah,
hired
and
John
what wars?
Bolton?
What wars did Trump start? What things
Who?
did he listen to from John Bolton before he fired him?
But why did he hire him? That's the question I have for you.
Because there is an entire, because I know you think
Because
in
he
like
has
a very
terrible
linear
instincts.
sense, but there was a very large albatross known as the establishment, the deep state, and the swamp that inhabited both the RNC and all the institutions, all the
And they
beltway think
forced the
tanks.
president of the
Can I
United States to
finish?
make a hire that
Can
he
I
didn't want to make.
finish? Can I
They
finish? You
did
you
they
can't
force the
debate. You can't
president of
debate
the United
fairly.
States to make a
Remember to
hire he
the
didn't want to make?
remember the 30-second rule you started and then you got rid of and then you
Hire
just kept
General
repeating?
Milley. Who gave Milley accommodation?
Tell me, please, where DeSantis wouldn't have, what hires DeSantis would have made that would have been different. Because his hires, again, we have to play these stupid hypotheticals because all you guys want to do is talk about DeSantis being in the past. DeSantis would have hired far worse people or similar
No.
people in all these positions. He's an establishment Republican. He came up through the
Bo,
system. He's a
let's look
typical
at what he did in
politician.
Florida. And
What
I
did he
go
do in
back to the
Florida? What did he do in Florida? Why don't we talk about something
most
different? Why
pressing
don't we talk
issue
about
at
this
the
foreign
time.
policy that you don't want to
I
talk
go back
about?
to the
You
most
brought up
pressing
Bolton.
issue at the
Let's talk about
time.
foreign
Look
policy.
at you. Now you don't want me to answer. Look at you. You don't want me to answer. You're a coward. It's okay.
Oh my
It's
God, you're
okay
such
because
a
I'm going to answer one
child.
way or another. I will
Yeah,
answer
yeah,
you
yeah,
one way or another. So just you might as well just let me answer.
yeah,
You
yeah.
said, well,
Go.
what
I'm
would
shocked you're not muting me.
DeSantis? You said, what would DeSantis do different with the hiring? Well, let's look at what he did in Florida. Trump passed Fauci. DeSantis hired Dr. Ladapo. I mean, they couldn't be any more different, and the stakes couldn't be any higher. But when DeSantis had an opportunity to make a hire, he hired the right person. He hired the right person. When Trump had the opportunity to say, you know what, Fauci, you go ahead and sit this one out. You can go ahead and you're on desk duty.
You've just been repeating the
you're gonna
same
work in a
things for the last
basement
hour. You
somewhere.
don't want to talk about
You're
anything other
you're
than
gonna work
COVID.
in a basement somewhere at the
I
National
already
Institutes of Health.
conceded. I already conceded to you that I had disagreements with Trump's COVID policy, but you keep relitigating it because
Okay.
it's the
Well,
only
I
thing you
will
have.
concede to you that I have no disagreement with DeSantis's COVID policy. He did a great
Great.
job, man.
That's fantastic. I don't think
So,
you have any independent thoughts in general, so that's not a surprise.
we
Why don't we
literally
talk about
face
why don't we
a
talk about
life or
something
death,
new?
liberty
We've
or
been on
death
here for an
situation
hour.
that
You've
would
repeated
only
the same
happen once
things.
in a
Oh my
generation,
God.
and Trump failed that test, and DeSantis
Oh my
passed that
God.
test.
Why don't we
Like it
talk
was
about foreign policy? What is your candidate's views on foreign policies? You've been shooting a bunch of questions at me. What is your candidate's position on foreign policy? Does he want to go to war with Iran? Does he want to go to war in Syria? Does he want to continue funding Ukraine and getting us closer to a nuclear confrontation? Please tell me what your
what
candidate's
I don't think
position
he's going to
is
send the.
on
I don't think
foreign
he's going to send
policy.
the. I don't. So let me answer that question for you. I don't think he's going to send the money and the missiles to Ukraine that Trump did.
Why did
So
he
no.
flip flop on that issue then?
Wait, say that again. You were breaking up.
Why did he flip flop on that issue then?
Hold up. Can you guys hear him okay? Because he sounds like a robot on my end. I don't know if I need to get off my Wi-Fi network and switch. Give me a
I mean,
thumbs up if you guys can hear him okay.
I hear you fine. I'm just asking you why did he flip flop on that issue then? We have a thumbs up from Michael, so
Hey
they
guys,
gave me
give me a thumbs up if you can hear Gavin okay. And I'll know it's on my end. All right, give me a second. Me- All right, Gavin, go ahead and say it again. Can you hear me?
I was saying you're saying he's not going to fund Ukraine.
Gavin,
Why
can
did
you
he
hear me?
flip flop on this? I hear you loud and
All
clear. Do
right,
you hear
everybody else
me?
give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Hello. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Everyone is thumbing up. Everyone's put thumbs up. They all hear us.
Hey Gavin, if you can hear me, hop down and hop back up because I can't hear you at all.
How do I do that? Um, how do I? Hold on.
Hello, hello. send the request real quick. All right, I'm adding you. Invite to speak. Here we go. Give it 1 second, guys. I'm adding Gavin back up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I was saying, how can you explain his flip flop on his Ukraine position, something that Tucker Carlson himself called him out on?
Yeah, I can't tell if the robot sound is coming from my end or your end, but I'm assuming that you're saying, how do you explain the flip flop? You're saying that DeSantis flip flopped on
He
the issue of
he
Ukraine.
flip flopped on Ukraine. He called Russia a gas station with nukes. Taking words
And
right out of.
and in what way did he flip flop?
He completely changed his position vis-a-vis the war, the funding, his support, etc.
Bro, you were breaking up really badly. In what way did he change his position?
I just told you he changed his position in terms of how he would come to support Ukraine, and Tucker Carlson called him out on it. Hello.
Hey guys, if he's sounding broken up to you,
Is this like a
hit me with the
tactic? Are
thumb.
we trying? Is this like we're trying to shut the
It's not.
debate
It's
down? I mean, what's
well, I
going on
can
right now? I hear
guys. If
you
he sounds
clearly.
broken,
Everyone has been thumbing up that they hear us. I don't know what the issue is. Every,
all right, guys.
everyone,
If you can hear,
everyone is putting their thumbs up. They all hear me. I've asked you a few times now. What do you make of DeSantis' flip flop on his position on Ukraine? Something that Tucker has called out, and I think everyone can hear me. So I'm just curious to hear the answer.
hold on. I'm posting to the jump. I'm posting to the jump.
I mean, I guess if he can't hear me, I could just talk to you guys. I could just have my monologue that he was getting throughout this entire space. I think at the end of the day, their entire messaging strategy of attacking Trump and attacking Trump supporters is bound to fail. It's showing that it's failing. Instead of trying to present themselves as a continuation of the MAGA America First agenda, they're trying to completely, go through, historical revisionism in terms of Trump's first term, and it's sad. It's really sad to see, and it's destroying his
All right,
political
I'm
future.
back. Here we go. All right, I can hear you now. I don't know.
Well, I asked you.
Elon
I just
fixed it.
asked
Thank
you,
you,
what
Elon.
do you make of the flip flop?
Yeah, there. What flip flop are you talking
The
about?
flip flop that Tucker Carlson called out, where he
I don't know
where
what
where
flip flop you're
DeSantis
talking
had
about.
to
All I
go and
know is that
issue a new statement to revise his position because he could.
what okay, so what was the original position and where did he land? Go ahead and tell me that.
His original position was completely changed how he would view the Ukraine war in terms of supporting, in terms of funding it, in terms of his
Okay,
rhetoric towards Russia. And then I think Tucker
tell me.
Carlson
No, no, no,
asked
no,
all of
no.
these
See,
candidates
again, if
to.
you're going to say that somebody flip flopped, you should be able to tell me what his original
I
position was
just
and where
did.
he
I
landed on
I
that.
just did.
Okay, so what was his original position on Ukraine?
His original position was that he was for supporting funding and for continuing the war, and all this, like, aggressive bellicose stance towards Russia.
That's not true. He came out when he gave his first statement on Ukraine. His first statement on Ukraine was that, yo, we don't need to be getting involved in a regional territorial dispute. Those were his words. So tell me where he's flipped on that.
Then he flipped it the other way. Excuse me. So he flipped it from being more anti-war to being more pro-war. So I apologize on
Okay,
that,
and
but
so
he still did
what
flip.
were his words? What were his
Let's go
words that
find
he
it
said?
out. Let's go find the statement he gave to Tucker.
Again, and this is what I'm talking about. All right, you've been so caught up in that
Talking about
in
what?
that
Like,
MAGA
this was
bubble,
a very
you
big
didn't even
story.
bother to do your research
I
before
don't
you
have
made
his
that BS
quote in
statement.
front of me. We're just debating on a space, but
But you should
you know
know his
exactly what I'm
position if
talking.
you're going to call me out on his position. You should know it.
I asked you. You clearly know
I
what
just
I'm
told you
referencing.
verbatim what his
Oh my
position
god! So I will
was.
go and Google it, and then we'll be back to square one. You'll have to answer
Perfect. Go
about the
ahead and
flip
Google
flop.
it. But while you're Googling, I didn't have to research anything. I told you verbatim what his
So
position was, which
state
is that we
state
don't
state verbatim his position right now. I mean, I don't know if you're
we don't need
googling or you used
that
the last 5 minutes with a broken
we don't
mic setup
we
to Google
well
it. I mean, I don't know what
I
the fuck
just
you're doing.
posted to the jumbotron. I just posted to the jumbotron how you sounded on my end, so that you don't think there's any shenanigans going on, because I know
Well, the
you're
only
very worried
shenanigans
about
is
that.
you constantly muting me.
But okay, all right, let's get back to the topic at hand. He said that he doesn't think we should be involved in a regional territorial dispute, right? Those were his words. I don't see any change in whether or not he thinks we should be involved in a territorial dispute. I don't see any change, and I don't see him coming out saying, "Oh, we need to give billions and billions and billions to Ukraine." Blah blah blah. I don't. I haven't seen any change in that. But you called me out on his position. You don't even know what it is. And this is what I'm talking about with you guys, man.
What are you
Like, you guys
talking
are
about?
so
I'm
caught up in your bubble. Now, but what I will say is that
he originally framed it, and
well, hold
he
on,
diminished.
let me
Oh
finish
my
my statement. What
gosh!
I will say is that did Trump not send money and munitions to Ukraine?
Yeah, he
Did he
did.
get he got punked into doing that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He also avoided. It was also the only period in time in the last, I think, 3, 4 presidencies where Russia did not invade a neighbor.
But he got punked into sending what the munitions over
There's a.
there, right?
Are you seriously trying to compare some of the arms deals we had with Ukraine prior to the war to the packages and the massive spending that we've seen since?
Oh,
Are you actually
I'm
trying to
not
compare
defending the
that?
spending stance. I'm telling you that DeSantis has a position that we don't need to get involved in a territorial dispute. And what I'm saying is that Trump did get us involved.
And then he got flack for it, and he came out and he
And
was
then
like, "Oh, my original."
he folded like
I have a
a
quote
deck of
here.
cards, man.
He stated that his original position was
He folded
mischaracterized.
he folded. The second he got some media
He did.
pushback,
He was
he
the one that came
folded.
out. He was the one. DeSantis himself came out and made a public clarification that his original points were being mischaracterized. That was under pressure from donors.
Again, Trump folded. He sent money and munitions over to Ukraine. So
Folded
he
on
has a
what? There
track
wasn't
record.
a war. The war with Russia.
There was
There was
no war.
obviously conflict in the Donbass, but there was no conflict with Russia at that point in time, directly at least.
But again, you said that I'm saying that DeSantis said we don't need to get involved in territorial disputes.
And
Trump
then
got
he
us
walked
involved in
it back and he
territorial
said
disputes.
his own.
So
He literally said his own comments were being mischaracterized. So you explain to me
you
what was
you
mischaracterized.
and here's the thing, and I will say this: I don't have a problem with Trump's foreign policy for the most part. I just think that he's an undisciplined guy,
Oh my
and
God.
so on
Why are
every
you
other issue,
deflecting? I just told you that DeSantis came out. You wanted me to get the direct quote. So I went, I got the direct
what's the
quote.
direct quote? Go ahead
He
and
came
read it to
out
me.
and he said that his comments were mischaracterized. So why was he changing? Why was he saying
Okay, and
his
in
comments
what
were
way were his comments
mischaracterized?
in what way were his comments mischaracterized?
Obviously, Russia invaded, and that was wrong. They invaded Crimea and took it in 2014. That was wrong. What I'm referring to is kind of where
Do
the
you
fighting
disagree
is
with that?
going on now, which is that western border, eastern border, reaching
Hmm.
Donbass, and then the Crimea.
How is that a flip flop?
He was the one that came out and said his earlier comments were being mischaracterized as being as wanting to avoid the conflict. So then he came out and he's like, "Oh, well, I hate the conflict." Blah 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 blah
Okay.
blah.
So let's break that statement down. Let's break that statement down into parts. Do you have a disagreement, and does Trump have a disagreement with the first part of DeSantis' statement where he says, obviously, we read that first part again, obviously what was wrong?
I thought you can read these things verbatim. That's what you were bragging about
Go
before.
ahead,
You
go
have
ahead, go
memory.
ahead. Does Trump
Obviously,
does,
Russia invaded, and that was wrong.
okay, so does Trump have a disagreement on that part of it?
I'm not fully sure where Trump stands. I think he's criticized the invasion. I have a different view on that. I'm
Got
happy
it.
to
Cool.
elaborate that.
All right. So Trump criticized the invasion. So there's no daylight between them on that. All
Well,
right.
what
Read
Trump has been pushing for
read
peace. Why isn't he pushing for peace?
read the next read the next part of that statement.
The next part, they invaded Crimea and took it in 2014.
Okay. Does Trump have a disagreement with that?
I don't know what his public position on. I mean, these are not. You're kind of
All
missing the
right,
point.
man.
He
All right,
came
man.
out.
Like, you don't even know your
He
guy's
came,
public position on this stuff, man. If you don't
Well,
move on, like, you got to be kidding me.
you're
You
trying to
don't,
deflect from the
you
fact.
trying to
You're trying to
hold my candidate's feet to the
deflect.
fire,
He came
and
out
you
and
don't
he
know
made
what
a
your
good.
candidate's position is
DeSantis
on
came
any of this
out and
stuff.
made a good statement, and then he walked it back and he said, "Oh, those were mischaracterized. Russia's bad. This is bad. Blah 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 blah." It just
What
goes.
was mischaracterized? What was
I don't know. You ask
mischaracterized?
him. Those are his words.
I,
He said it was
I'm trying to
mischaracterized.
explain the part of what was mischaracterized. What was mischaracterized was this idea that somehow, Russia invading is not a big deal. That's not what he was saying. What he was saying is that now that there is conflict, that is a territorial dispute between two countries. We don't, it's not in
I
our
agree
interest.
with his first statement. I just find it strange that he walked it back and claimed it was
That's not
mischaracterized.
if that's if you want to, I mean, if you want to call that a walk back, I
It
guess you
was.
can
There
if
was
you want
no
to.
need for it. He made a statement. It was a fine statement in Trump's own words, and then he walked it back, and he had to add all this clarity and all this extra language that is completely different from how he described it originally.
Brother, if that's what you want to hang your hat on, I mean, by all means. I mean, that's just the weakest argument that I've ever heard. He clarified his statement. He didn't change his position. I don't
Well,
see
he
anything.
also
I don't
hasn't
see any.
really he
I
hasn't
don't
really
see
clarified
anything.
where he stands on the
I don't see
funding.
anything in that. I don't see anything in his second statement that says that we should get further, deeper involved in the Ukraine-Russia
Why doesn't
conflict.
he
Do you see
publicly
that?
just state that? Why is he talking like this very like careful way where he's walking on eggshells, walking a tightrope? Why doesn't he just come out and say I'm
I
for
don't have
peace
a
and I'm against
problem. I don't
and
have a
I'm
problem with
for
my.
peace and I'm against any further funding packages. Trump has already come out and said there will be
Why?
peace and
Why
he's
does
against
your
these funding
okay?
packages.
So you're asking me why my candidate speaks like an adult and
I'm asking why your presidential candidate doesn't have
why
any
your candidate
concrete
speaks like a
positions.
fourth grader.
I'm
Like
asking why your candidate has no
my
concrete
kids have a bigger
positions.
vocabulary than Trump does. I've never seen Trump say anything intelligent without a teleprompter in front of him. Like he's not a smart. Would you at least concede that he's not the brightest guy,
No,
even if you think he's
I think
directionally
he's a
correct?
very smart guy, and I think people like you who constantly need to attack his vocabulary just show how stupid you are. I mean, the man built an empire. He's a multi-billionaire. He
Eh,
became president. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to
nah.
speak to voters. He knows how to talk to a crowd, and he's not going to go out there and act like a policy
He
wonk. That
does know
doesn't
how to
work.
talk to his coach. I guarantee. I will. I'm going to
Are
concede
you
that
trying
point.
to insinuate that his supporters are dumb now? I mean, you were just on fire with the attacks. I mean, are you trying
I'm
to insinuate that?
insinuating that I'm insinuating. I'm not saying that all his supporters are dumb, but
Ultimately,
the dumbest voters are his
your
supporters.
candidate has no concrete positions other than woke is bad and COVID. That's all he has, and he had to walk back that statement and give this secondary
Again, here's the problem
non-statement
that you
because
here's
he
the problem
doesn't
that you
have any
have. Here's the
positions.
problem that you have, Gavin, is that
What's the problem?
positions are great. Your guy is too undisciplined to actually accomplish
What do you mean
anything of substance.
undisciplined? He didn't start
He's
any new wars. He
he's
had a
too
great
he's
term as
too
president. What are you talking
undisciplined.
about undisciplined?
Let me finish my statement. You can respond. He's too undisciplined to accomplish any of the things that he's saying that he's going to do, right? So he says that, oh, I'm going to end child genital mutilation, right? You have 4 years to do that, but you didn't do that. Fine. You say you're going to do it this time around. You have no hustle, no get. You're not going to get anything passed. He's not going to get anything passed. He wasn't able to defund he wasn't able to get rid of Obamacare. He didn't get it done because he doesn't have any game. Okay, he doesn't know how to
What are you
move the
talking
levers of
about? He
government.
inherited a Senate that was 50-50,
Hmm.
and then John McCain broke ranks and voted against it because
Why did John McCain
because
break
John
rank?
McCain is a piece of crap, and I don't care what his
Could it have
personal disputes were. I don't care what
could
his
it have
personal
anything to
disputes
do
were. So are you
could it
justifying
have
John
anything to
McCain's
do
action voting
could it
against his
have anything to
voters?
do could it have anything to do with the way
No, I
that
think
Trump.
everything Trump said about him was validated by the fact
Okay, can I
that
finish my
McCain went onto
statement?
the
Let me
floor.
finish my statement. Let me
What are you
finish my
talking
statement.
about? You're just talking over me.
Let
You asked a
All right,
question. I'm
man. What an idiot, man. Listen, I'm asking you if the fact that John McCain was not with him, the fact that he was not able to move John McCain to our side in getting rid of Obamacare, does Trump bear any responsibility on that? And the answer to that is 100% yes, he bears responsibility. If you're the president of the United States, number one, you're supposed to whip votes, right? You don't get a pass because, oh, well, this guy voted against it. Hey, you dummy. Your job is to get him to not vote against it. Your job is to get him on your side. Wheel and deal, Mr. Art of the Deal. Like, if you can't get it, like the buck stops with you. So the fact that Obamacare was not repealed is on Trump's shoulders. And the fact that it was John McCain who did it is on Trump's shoulders. When you take a POW and you minimize his experience, he might hold in your 50-50 Senate would have in your that all of Trump's failures are not his fault, and all of Trump's quote unquote victories, they're all him. So of Trump's quote unquote victories, they're all him. So
You
straight to the
literally,
racism.
you literally, you literally had bad
Y'all,
internet connection for an hour. Now you're talking about
y'all,
my voice wavering.
y'all
So
see how he
anyway,
went straight to the racism? Y'all see how
what
he did that,
racism?
right?
What racism? You've been attacking me this entire thing. You've been attacking me and muting me, and then I
No,
punched back at
you
you and
hit
you
me with the
cried racism.
Section 8 when you're the one who's currently unemployed. Man. Like, let's be
I'm not
real.
on him. I'm actually
Yeah.
not care. You're whining and now you're playing victim because I called you out. You've been muting me, and attacking me this entire
I won't
debate.
spend too long
Can
on
I?
that.
If your challenge right now against Trump is that the establishment that hated him, that worked to fight to keep him out of office as hard as they ever fought before, is somehow the reason for say the repeal of Obamacare. I mean, it was repealed in pieces later, but you're not. McCain
It's
was not going
entirely
to
Trump's
move.
fault.
McCain was not going to move. He was bucking his party. He was bucking the entire all his constituents. He did not care, and
He
that wasn't
didn't
going to be
care.
changed by anything that
He didn't care.
that wasn't going to be changed by anything that Trump was going to do. So again, it's just another weak argument of yours. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah. So here's the
doing
thing. So here's the
all you're
thing.
doing
Trump's
is
job was to
attacking.
get it done.
Oh my god.
See
Oh my
again,
god.
weak-minded people will give the president a pass. I hire the president to do a job for me. He is not my savior. He is not my hero. He is the plumber. I'm hiring him to do a job for me. And the only
Oh
question I
my
got for
gosh.
him at the end of the day is, did you fix it? He didn't fix it, so he
What are you
failed.
talking about? He had
Period.
a great first term that you're constantly
Did he repeal
denigrating.
Obamacare? Absolutely not. He didn't repeal Obamacare.
you
He
you
gave it
you're
one
you're
shot
also
and then
you're
he
also
gave
ignoring
up.
executive orders that he pushed out, and again you're ignoring the fact that the establishment did not
Anybody
want
can
him to
write an
have any.
executive order.
Yeah, good, I'm glad he did because he was able to get around that and get things done for the American people. Why are you completely
Again,
disregarding that?
you're
Some of
making
his best
excuses
things
for
were
the man.
executive orders.
Did he finish building the wall?
You tell me why the establishment that is backing your candidate, the
Did
Rhino
he finish building
establishment,
the wall?
why
Did he
is the
finish building the
Rhino?
wall?
Can I respond to you? Why is the Rhino establishment that had completely tried to sabotage his first term now all universally behind Ron DeSantis?
Did he finish building the wall?
No, because I just told you the
No.
entire Rhino
No, he
establishment
didn't
was
finish building the
trying to
wall.
block the
Did we
funding.
get any money
He
from
also
Mexico?
he built a ton.
Did we get any money from Mexico
Oh
for the
my
wall?
god! Oh my god! You sound like a lefty. You literally sound like a lefty in your arguments.
Again, he didn't finish building the wall. He didn't repeal Obamacare. He didn't lock up Hillary. He didn't do any of these things. and
Okay.
all you've got is that he picked a name off a list for Supreme Court, which
No,
any
I
Republic
have the
you could have put
I've been
Mitt
talking about the
Romney in there.
greatest
Mitt Romney
economy
would
in the
have picked
last
the
100
same
years.
exact people.
No new wars being started. Supreme Court justices up and down up and down the entire judicial hierarchy. All this stuff you just blow off, you disregard, and then you just talk about how great DeSantis is, and you completely ignore the fact that the same factors, the same groups, the same individuals that were part of sabotaging Trump and Trump's agenda
Oh, he got sabotaged. So
are
why would
now
he
the
not get
biggest.
sabotaged this
What
time
do you mean
around
he didn't
then?
get sabotaged with all these sham impeachments? What are you talking about? Of
Okay,
course
so
he was,
what? So
and the
what's
entire
different
deep
now? So
state.
what's different now? Why would he not get sabotaged this time?
Well, he's clearly going against the grain. He's clearly going against the establishment. He was still able to get a ton done
What
despite that.
has changed that would cause him to not get
The
thwarted
only thing
again?
that's the only thing that's changed is it's shown that they only fear one person. They fear
Why
Donald
would
Trump.
Mr.
That's why they're
Magoo not
throwing the
get
entire.
tripped up again? Why would he
I
not get
just,
tripped up
I
this
just,
time if he
I
got
just.
tripped up last time?
Well, if I can respond, there's a few points. One, it just goes to show that he is the biggest threat to the establishment. It's not Ron
Nah,
DeSantis.
no
That's
threat.
why they're not.
How is he a
Can I
threat to
get to
the
my second
establishment?
point? Can I get to my second
He's
point?
done nothing.
He
He
also
hired John
realigned.
Bolton.
He realigned the entire party. Now he's coming back into office with an
Oh God.
actual movement behind him, with all these institutions, with all these new nonprofits, with all these new groups that could staff the administration of state. All this infrastructure did not exist in 2016. It simply didn't. He was cutting so far ahead with his shift of the Overton window that
Oh
all the
God.
different people that could
He had
staff the
4 years as
effectuation.
president. He had
Yeah,
four
and he
years as
hired a ton
president.
of great
He
people,
did
and there was a
nothing.
lot of great people in that
The
admin.
deep state wasn't
Many people that
afraid. The
also
deep
now
state
work for
wasn't
DeSantis.
afraid of
A
him.
lot of these people that you're attacking in terms of personnel are people that
The
DeSantis also
establishment wasn't
hired.
afraid of him. He was status quo once he got into office. There's
Oh my
nothing that.
God.
So
That's
here's the
why they
difference
tried to
between
impeach him. That's why they tried to
Trump.
come after him and all the
Here's the difference
rest.
between Trump and DeSantis. Trump got in trouble for the things that he said, right? He got controversy for the things that he said. DeSantis has controversy for the things that he does. He's a doer. Trump is not a doer. He did not finish building the wall. He did
Because
not
this is
repeal.
circular.
Wait a
This
minute.
whole argument is
Let me
getting
finish my
circular because
statement. He did not repeal Obamacare.
all you do is
When
say
push
that
came to
Trump did
shove,
nothing. He was
when
the
push
worst
came to shove,
president. Blah 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 blah.
he went with the medical establishment on COVID. He went with the establishment on everything.
So if your
He's a
candidate is
mirage.
so
He's a
great, why is he
joke.
down by 40 points? Why does no one buy your
He's a
left wing
mirage.
rhetoric?
And you
Why
said
does no one
what?
believe? Why is no one supporting you? Why are you tanking in the polls? I
Oh,
mean, do
let
you
me
have any
ask.
self
Okay,
reflection?
well,
Do you
let's
have any
answer that
self
real quick.
reflection?
Let's answer that real quick. At this point in 2000, with the 2008
Iowa is
election,
6 months away.
let me finish my statement. Let me finish my statement. Hillary Clinton was up on Barack Obama huge.
Not by 40
Even
points.
yes, she was. I
No,
will
she
post.
wasn't.
I got the receipts. Yes,
No,
she
she wasn't.
was.
No, she
Yes, she
wasn't.
was.
No one has had this type of lead.
And she was killing Barack Obama amongst African Americans. Can you believe that? So spare me your nonsense with the polls. Most of the people that
Put it
I
on the
run with,
jumbotron. Put it on the jumbotron.
most of the people that I run with don't follow politics. They're not paying attention at this point. And when they do start paying attention, mind you, I think DeSantis needs to be more aggressive against Trump. I think Trump has a lot of weaknesses that DeSantis can exploit.
If DeSantis takes your rhetoric and uses it, he will get under 10% in the
Oh
polls.
my
But I hope he
gosh.
takes your advice.
Well, I guess we'll see. No, I want DeSantis to be more aggressive with Trump. I think Trump is a lame. I think he's a loser.
How is that working for Chris
I think his
Christie? Chris Christie
supporters
is going
I think his
aggressive. Where is
supporters
he
have
winning? Am I still here, or is everyone? Can you guys hear me? Chief Trumpster, can you give me a thumbs up if you hear me? All right, so no one hears him. Okay, got it. Well, I guess this is kind of like karma because he mutes me every time I try to get a point across. But I guess I'll use the time that he's struggling with his Wi-Fi. What was he rambling about? Oh yeah, so if he wants to go and be more aggressive against Trump, I'm not exactly sure where he's going to find this coalition in the electorate. I mean, the attacks against Trump are not landing. I mean, the polls show that there's no coalition that he's going to cobble together by becoming a neo-never Trumper, by becoming a crazy anti-Trump against his track record, against him as an individual, against his supporters, however you want to cut it up. But I encourage him to do so. I hope he does come out, swinging against Trump, and I hope to continue to see his polls decline. I think it's a really dumb strategy. But I don't really think he has a lane anymore. He can't pick a lane with all these different.
Where the heck is Gavin? Hey, Gavin. I'm still here. Did you hop back out? Hop back in? All right. I'm gonna ask somebody else real quick just to check, and see if the problem is on my end. Or not. Give me 1 second. Or vape pens now. Um, Gavin has not come back, yo. So I'll do the last 5 minutes. I'll do the last 5 minutes with the. So I'm gonna bring you back up, pack a day. I'll do the last 5 minutes with any MAGA people who wanna, or you could be DeSantis. It doesn't matter. With any MAGA people who want to take his place because he has not come back. Not able to hear. I wasn't able to hear him. That's a Twitter Space problem. Let me go ahead and I'll add a couple people. I'll add a couple people. Make it fun for a minute before I shut it down because I gotta
Yo, can you hear me?
handle some business. What's going on, All American?
Hey, bro, love your stances. I appreciate the fact that you handled that the way you did. I just want to do a side by side comparison of Trump. Everybody calls this guy conservative. I was pro Trump as well. I'm more libertarian that leans right, but Trump was by no means a pro to a president. This guy is not pro life. If we look at actual conservative principles, traditionalist conservative principles, he's not it. He's just not. So when these people kept talking about like no new wars, he also didn't end the war. Neither did Obama. We got lied to. So these continuous arguments they make, as far as like again, he didn't end the. I don't get where they're coming from on this one.
But you didn't you notice? Yeah, like you said, he's not saying well. I'm just going off of the things that he ran on, which
this one. This is something that politicians have done repeatedly throughout time. Anyone that put boots on the ground in Iraq or Afghanistan knew that the moment we withdrew, you've got the watches, we've got the time. They will wait it out. You will not defeat a religious ideology. But knowing that, Trump intentionally did not withdraw because he knew whoever withdraws, makes a withdrawal, it will be a massive disaster. It would be a political blunder. Biden, he went forward with it, and look what happened. It blew up in his face. Now, you can blame the generals, you can blame the president, but that was basically every president saying, I'm going to end the war, I'm going to withdraw, and the generals are basically saying, if you do this, there is going to be a vacuum, there will be a reemergence of ISIS, of all these terrorist groups, and it's going to look like you got defeated. What happens? Biden goes ahead and tries to do it, and it blew up in his face. So it's not one of them. And again, I am not a devout Trump supporter. I'm all for kind of like the Rand Pauls, but I can't blame Trump on everything. Biden held a lot of responsibility on that, but also this is kind of like the people versus the government at this point. We were used as just pawns in this political game, and that's why I feel like when Trump said like he'd end the war, yada yada, nobody wanted to end that war. It was going to blow up in their face. We should never have been involved in this.
yeah, I don't
In
see
fairness,
where the political courage was with Trump. And here's the thing: for all the accomplishments that they list of Trump, they're basic run of the mill Republican things, man.
Yeah,
Like he appointed conservative Supreme Court
yeah.
justices. So,
Well,
like, you
Kavanaugh,
want a
like
cookie?
even Kavanaugh, I'm
quote
not impressed with.
unquote conservative.
Yeah, even Kavanaugh, I'm not really impressed with. I understand where he stands on a lot of these things, but for them to use that as like, oh, our president appointed a right-leaning judge, that's what a lot of them do. I like your point on that. It was like this is not. I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong. I give credit to Trump where he did good, but on that one, it's like this isn't the gotcha moment you think it is.
100%. I mean, again, you can put Mitt Romney in that situation. He's appointing the same people off the Federalist Society list.
Yeah,
Like, show me where Trump,
yeah,
other than his words, show me where Trump was different than Mitt Romney
yeah.
on
Well,
anything.
Trump endorsed
Like,
Romney. These talking points that they're putting out. Look, I'm not even on Team DeSantis. I'm on Team Constitution. But when I look at what they're trying to say as far as like Ron is backed by the Rhino establishment, yada yada yada, it's like, but let's look at the actual actions versus the verbiage. Trump's endorsed McCarthy. McCarthy is another Rhino shill. He's in favor of the war in Ukraine. He endorsed freaking McCarthy, Paul Ryan, the very same people they say that are like backing Ron DeSantis. Donald Trump has said these are good people. So I'm very confused on if these people are the establishment. Well, then why is Trump endorsing them? Then let's look at the FBI. I'm all for abolishing the IRS. I don't want these federal agencies in existence. We don't need them. But then Trump turn around, puts Wray in place, funds the FBI, and then sits there in pearl clutches and acts shocked when the very same scorpion he raised turns around and stings him. So I'm confused on this. This guy makes horrendous
And
picks.
Ray,
because he has
who
no
recommended Ray?
intellectual curiosity. He does not. He is his knowledge of these subjects and his intellectual curiosity is paper
Yeah,
thin. He says, "Hey, this guy looks like he's the made for TV version of this particular role. So I'm gonna." He said it a million
yeah.
times. Oh, he looks like he's straight out of Central Casting. The guy is
I
paper
think
thin.
actually his biggest mistake was trusting the wrong people, aka the Paul Ryans, the Chris Christies, the Jeff Sessions, the Comeys, the Rays, you
I can
fill in
agree
the
with that.
blank
Yeah, I
of
can agree with that.
the conservative ink. And I think
But
being one of the
that
things everybody
disqualifies him
lumped is
because
that he
as an
was a
ex,
political outsider, and so a political outsider needs to rely to some degree on some political insiders who have knowledge and experience and how things work, what levers to pull and push, and how things go. So, putting out the list of justices in advance who he would choose, that everybody applauded him for doing that in advance because he wanted to prove he was willing to nominate Supreme Court justices that had the right constitutional view. So he did that. Now, did they let us down from time to time? Absolutely. Has any Republican nominated justice been 100% all the time. Maybe Clarence Thomas off the top of my head, but very in the history it hasn't been consistent that way. Democrat the Democrats will never cross the line to vote with Republicans, but Republicans constantly cross the line to vote with the Democrats. And that's just the way it is. But to say that, he wasn't intellectually curious, it's he was relying on people who made him believe that they were looking out for his best interest. Like, for example, Paul Ryan. Trump wanted the first thing to be done, Obamacare repeal. Ryan's kept saying, no, why don't we start with this first? And Ryan was the Speaker of the House. Ryan was the inside guy of Congress. He was the guy who's going to help, shepherd Trump through the congressional dance with his best friend, Ryan's previous, as chief of staff to Trump. So those two both did him dirty in those positions.
Well,
So I
no,
think
here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with saying that they did them dirty. If you're an executive, a chief executive of a company, of a country, of whatever, you got really one job, and that's to hire good people. That's it. If you fail at that, it's nobody's fault but your own. Like you can't take the
I don't
main job of a
disagree with
chief.
that. I don't disagree with
So
that, and that's why
so
he's
he is
firing
unworthy of
people.
another term in office because he doesn't know how to hire. And what I
He's
was telling
famous for
Gavin is,
firing people. I
Now, hold on,
mean,
we
like
got to take a
I
step back
agree
here
with
real
you.
quick.
I think
I get what you're saying about
anybody,
he's famous for firing people. But look who Trump surrounds
but
himself with. This is the issue here, and I don't disagree with you. I think that you make some really good, serious points there, and I do agree. But I was talking to this one gentleman at this one party I went to, and he was in his 50s, a homosexual man, and politics got brought up. And so basically, he was very well dressed, and I asked him, I was like, where do you stand politically? He's like, well, I used to be a Republican, and this is in downtown Dallas, which is primarily blue, heavily blue. So it really caught me off guard, and I said, well, what do you do now? He's like, I shifted independent slightly left. And my question was, why is that? He said, because the Republican Party has turned into the biggest clown show and joke I have ever seen. He said, you've got your George Santoses. You've got the people that Donald Trump surrounds himself with. He friggin' pardoned Steve Bannon, who is an embezzler, and yet you have Snowden and the rest of these guys that are actual legit whistleblowers, and he's done nothing for them. Assange, nobody. Trump surrounds himself with the Roger Stones. These people are just, it is a clown show. And the American people, I really feel by and large,
done or every decision he's ever
but is
made.
that not
But
disqualifying
the
for
true,
him that he had dinner
but I
with Nick
happen to
Fuentes?
know people friends. He said, "Sure, the more the merrier." That's how. So you're saying he should have said, "No, no, no. I have to know which friend you want to bring because
Let me give you an
even though I
example
That's
real
a
can't
quick.
see
hundred
you,
Hold
I
on.
percent.
will
Let me
still
give you
be
That's
your friend."
Mar-a-Lago
hold on
Security's
real quick.
job.
Let me give you guys
Nobody
a quick
stopped and said
example.
this
Let
is
me
Nick
give you guys a quick
Fuentes.
example. You guys can look this clip up on YouTube. Elon Musk was going to do the well, I guess Full Send podcast. And before he got off the jet, the Full Send podcast gets a call from one of Elon Musk's people and says, like, hey, I think we have a problem. One of the people that you're with has said blah 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 on Twitter about Elon, and that person's not going to be able to be in the room, right? When you hire good people and you're the chief executive, you're not supposed to be in the room with people you're not supposed to be in the room with. And that means, and if you end up in a room with a Nick Fuentes, it's either you're an idiot or you hire idiots. Either one means that you should not be in the Oval Office.
Free.
Yeah,
I have to
he's
ask though.
surrounded by yes men.
Yeah.
That's why.
Why is he even hanging out with the likes of Kanye West? This guy is not someone to be taken seriously. He is a joke and a clown show. Everything that follows him. This
One
guy
hundred
sits there
percent.
in the Oval Office and talks about how the
I could
president should be
actually
flying
give you
on
his
hydropower
exact
planes.
reason for it, but it doesn't sound like any of you would actually listen or hear or even believe his actual
We've
personal
But
we've been
reasons
Redhead, the
for
listening
why
to
problem is
you.
he
you
was
guys
Go
meeting
make
with
ahead.
him.
excuses for him constantly. You notice no one here has to make an excuse for DeSantis. I don't have to make any excuses for the guy. I can tell
Well,
you
hold on,
the
Free.
Because he
I got
doesn't do
on this
anything,
one.
and
We
all
listen.
of his surrogates
we
do
still
everything
have
for
red
him.
flag laws in Florida. You know,
What?
DeSantis went there and pushed for permitless carry, which I'm all about. I'm a
Yeah.
pro Second Amendment, but Florida, the one hangup I really see in the big Second Amendment community is that Florida still has red flag laws, and that needs to be taken on like immediately. DeSantis has got to
Agree.
be in
That's
front of
fair.
this.
That's a fair critique. That is a fair critique. And so here's the thing: if you're on the DeSantis side, you're allowed to disagree with him on things. There are
Oh,
things that
absolutely, yeah,
I disagree with him vehemently on. There are things that you can go through my tweets. I'm
yeah,
critical of the way the campaign is not completely being right. Like I think they're running a pretty good campaign. I just wish they would do a couple things differently. But I
right,
can be critical. Like this is not a cult. Like
yeah.
we're able to say I don't like this and I like this. And there are some people who disagree with the red flag laws. Some
And
people who don't really care about
plenty of
them.
Trump supporters,
We have
including
spaces.
myself,
Hold
can
on.
be
DeSantis
critical
people have
too.
spaces. Hold on. DeSantis people have spaces arguing with each other about what DeSantis should and shouldn't do. You think Trump spaces are like that? No, they're circle
None.
jerks.
Absolutely. I've never seen a Trump space where there's disagreement about Trump or the things that he's doing. He is the most wonderful, perfect man who has ever existed. He is
Then you're
he
not
is
in the
he
right
is
Trump
tied with
spaces.
Jesus according to these guys, man. And that's what's scary about it. And that's why he has to be
That's
defeated and the
sacrilegious, and
movement
I'm
has to
Jewish, but that's besides the point. I think
well
you're in the wrong
what I'm
rooms as
saying is
people. If you don't hear Trump supporters dissenting or disagreeing and not loving some of his self-inflicted, which again I've said it before, I'll say it again. He isn't perfect. He's made some bad choices, bad decisions, bad personnel hires. I don't agree with everything he says or every stance he's ever taken, but as a whole, when I'm someone who to get behind who I believe will actually have the balls to fight the important fights, that's who I pick.
But
Because
see, that
DeSantis
alone makes you
won't
the
do
exception,
anything.
not the rule. That the ability to admit that he's done things wrong is the exception in the Trump camp, not the rule.
I've never heard that from another Trump person. Like Gavin
I
barely
don't know
tried.
what
Oh, well,
Trump.
there's things that I disagree with him on. Like
Okay, I don't know what
Gavin
Trump people you're
Gavin would
talking
not
to.
spend more
Every
than
Trump
half a
person I
second.
talk to acknowledge that he's not perfect. Acknowledge that he has weaknesses. Wish he would be more
Well, it's
have
not
more
even that he's not
humility. Wish
perfect.
he would own his mistakes a little bit better. Tons of Trump people say that all the
Yeah,
time.
not all Trump supporters are cold. We know that. Not all
That's
Trump supporters are cold members.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Not
Look,
every Trump supporter is a cult
I gotta
member. It's
bounce
like maybe
soon.
yeah, I got
Hey,
to run
Free,
in a little.
I appreciate you having me on, dude. I shot you a DM. I'd love to have you on my podcast, but I just want to interject this point right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about actual, authentic leadership. We want leadership. America needs a leader now more than ever, and we've got to bridge this political divide. Although I know it's going to be very difficult to do because we have major issues that have really driven us apart, especially in the culture war. But when you look at someone like Trump, okay, I'm a combat vet myself. You've got people that went to bat for you. Now, I don't agree with what happened with the insurrection. I don't even call that an insurrection. If it was the worst ever in the history of insurrections. It was a mob that went wild because it was driven by stupid people. Also, FBI
Insurrection with no
interjection.
weapons.
There you go. And then you also have feds in that crowd. But the point is, the J6ers, many of which I've spoken to personally, that actually didn't break the law and were targeted and basically harassed, their lives have been ruined financially. Trump has been nowhere to be found in helping these people. But what I do see is he gets indicted on some just transparent charges up by DA Bragg in New York. This trial has no water. They're not going to get him on this. But what does Trump do? He turns around, raises 16 million in one day, and those J6ers are left to rot. And he's done nothing. That is not leadership. You turned your back on your very own people and you left them to rot. And then you sit there and you pearl clutch and always cry, I'm the victim. I'm the victim. In some cases, he is. I will give him that. But bro, when you want leadership, Trump's not the guy. Trump wants loyalty. And what I mean by that is you look at Kayleigh, his ex-press secretary, goes on Fox, lists some polls. Trump doesn't like it, goes after and calls her milquetoast. He attacks anyone that has a slightly different opinion about him or his policies. He cannot handle criticism, and he is basically surrounded himself by yes men. He did it with Miley, he did it with all these other people, and then come to find out, like you said, as an executive, he cannot make good decisions. He hires horrible people. So I
The
don't want a
worst.
leader like that,
You know
especially a
what
leader
though?
that turns his back on
Just
his own.
You're
respectfully,
100%.
when it
Hey,
comes to the
I'm gonna
January
check that
6th
DM, man. I'm gonna
people,
take you up on that offer.
respectfully, when it comes to the
I
January
got to bounce.
6th
It was great talking to you.
prisoners, and wait, thank you for your service. I know you want to bounce because I'm about to answer you about the January 6ers and Trump and why he hasn't been done more things for them. See, run out of the room. That's fine. Somebody will let him know
No,
what
no,
I'm trying to
he
say.
said he had to go. We've been on this for
I
a
know,
little
and I
while, so
wanted
like,
him to hear the answer to that accusation that he made. There are
well, go
very
ahead. And
specific reasons why he can't be doing more, particularly financially at this point in time, because he
Why
himself
didn't he pardon them?
is under what?
Why didn't he pardon them?
There wasn't time. The investigations didn't start before January 20th.
He
Whatever
could have done a
they were
blanket
making
pardon ahead of
plans.
time, and they explored that possibility.
Your the argument is January 6th happened. January 7th, he should come out with a blanket pardon to anybody who was in the Capitol on January 6th.
He
That's
he
what you
ab-
recommend he should have
he
done.
absolutely had time to pardon. I'll post the article.
But then you would be
He
criticizing
he
him pardoning
explored he
people who
They
hurt
explored that
officers.
idea,
Or
and he what wait a minute,
okay,
wait a minute. They explored that idea and stop the steal uh if he pardoned them. So he
okay.
prioritized stop the
So let me
steal.
at liberty to do more, especially financially, and pardoning at that point in time. Okay, again, it wasn't the proper course. The timeline wasn't conducive to giving. If he blanket pardoned everybody who was there on January 6th, he would have been criticized for pardoning people who actually did do wrong things,
He
like
could say I'm
hurting a
blanket
cop,
pardoning for
hurting a cop.
nonviolent. He could say I'm blanket pardoning for nonviolent
But
crimes.
guess
He
what?
could have done
But
it.
guess what? They didn't have those charges yet, though. That
You
none
don't
of that
have to have
was
the charges.
discerned. None of that was
It,
divided. People are being
it's been
charged that never went into it are being
it's
charged
been
as
done in
being
the
in it.
past. It's been
Oh
done
my
in the
god.
past.
It's just not
There was a blanket
realistic.
pardon. There was a
Honestly, if he
blanket
would have
pardon
blanket
issued.
pardoned, you would have criticized him for that. So I'm
Wait a
just
minute.
again, I'm
Let
pushing
me
that over
respond
to the
to you real
side.
quick. Let
I'm
me
putting
respond. See
and
again,
let me
all you
just
guys have
finish.
are excuses for this
Just let
man.
me finish what I was trying to say about the money thing. Why I said
It's
he
not about
speaks
the
out.
money. It's not about the
Listen to
money.
me. The guy was just saying how he's not helping them, and when he gets indicted, he raises $6 million, but he doesn't do shit for
Go
the
ahead. Go
January
ahead.
6th prisoners. The point is, he's under investigation for January 6th too. If he starts giving money directly to people who are being indicted for January 6th crimes, whether who are completely innocent, who never set foot, all those innocent grandmas and whatnot, not to mention the people that were in there, they would tie him up so tight in a cell before you could say
But
boo,
he's giving
because
money
they'll
to
say,
some people.
see,
He's
we
giving
knew
money
he
to
was
some.
behind this insurrection. He's
But
paid.
here's where
Oh
your
my
argument
god,
falls apart.
I can't wait.
He's given money to some people, and he's touted that publicly. He's touted the fact that he's given money to some people,
Uh,
right?
who,
But
who,
he's not gonna help all of them because
who,
he's
and
about him
why? Who and
because he's
why?
about himself. He
No,
doesn't
no,
care
no.
about anybody but himself.
Who has he given money to, and why?
Go ahead and
Which
you can
people has
Google.
he? Which of
You
the
can
January Sixers has he given money to,
you
and
can go
why?
ahead and Google it. He
Well,
said that
you're the
he's.
one who mentioned it. I've never heard of him giving money
I
to
don't know
January
these people's
Sixers.
names off the top of my head. All I know is that
Yeah,
it's
because
been.
you just made that up.
I didn't.
You
Okay,
just
that's
made
fine.
it up that he. that
We'll post it to
he
the
gave
jumbotron.
some of them money.
We'll post it to the jumbotron. But listen, here's the point. He was president of the United States. He had an opportunity to issue a
Oh
blanket
my
pardon
god.
for all people who did not commit violent crimes on January 6th at the Capitol. He could have issued a blanket pardon. He did not issue a blanket pardon
You
because
think
he's a
that would have you think that would
because
have gone over
the
well?
truth is,
Honestly.
and
Honestly,
he
the
also did
state of
not
the country at that time, you think a blanket pardon to everybody.
he also did not He
Okay.
also did not pardon Julian Assange. He is a political coward. He talks a good
Okay.
game, but when it comes to actually doing things, the guy is the biggest coward this country has ever seen. He is
Right,
again.
right,
There's
right.
there's nothing that he's done that Mitt Romney wouldn't do in terms of policy.
Are
Like
you kidding me?
what?
You're gonna
Okay, name
compare him
something.
to Mitt Romney? Give
Name
me a.
name
You see,
name
this
not
isn't
some
a serious conversation. This isn't a serious
name
conversation
a
because you're
policy.
saying things that
Name a
aren't
policy.
real.
Name a policy
Oh
position.
my
Name
lord!
something that he's actually accomplished that Mitt Romney couldn't have accomplished. One,
Everything he accomplished when it comes to tax
just
cuts,
name one thing.
China,
Name one thing.
UNCA.
All right,
Hold on, let me keep
if
going.
you're, because I
Uh,
got literally 5 more minutes, guys. I got 5 more minutes. If
how
if
convenient.
you have a counter to that, raise your hand. Request to come up, real quick. If you have a
My
counter to that,
enough of a
come
counter.
up. I dare someone to explain to me something that Trump accomplished, not something
Do
that he
my do
said,
the
something that he
accomplishments
accomplished
I
that
listed
Mitt
don't
Romney couldn't have
count?
accomplished. Or wouldn't have accomplished.
The accomplishment
Or wouldn't have accomplished.
the accomplishment
office, we had the House and Senate. That wall should have been a slam dunk. And I promise you, if the shoe was on the Democrats' foot, if it was turned around, it would have been a slam dunk. Okay? McConnell and Ryan, because they're beholden, you have to. here's the biggest criticism. Trump came in thinking that Republicans would coalesce 100% and support their party the way Democrats do. The Democrats fight the one thing he did that I loved is he came in and finally took a club to the media who controls the narrative in this country. And
How did he take a club to the media?
because when someone hit him with a stick, and again, I'm a veteran, this is how you fight.
Let me
We
put this in
had Bush,
perspective
we
for you
had
real quick.
McCain, we had Romney, and DeSantis will get railroaded by the media the
No,
same
no, no,
way.
no. Let
It
me
doesn't
explain how this
matter,
works.
you know.
Let me explain how this works. Let me explain how this works and why
He pulled
I
back the curtain on the media.
Pulled
wait a
back the
minute.
curtain
Why it's
exactly. So
yeah, pull back the curtain my butt. Are you kidding me right now?
absolutely.
You're trying
Here,
to say
okay,
you're
answer
trying
me
to hold
this.
on,
Why
hold on.
did
Let me
DeSantis
respond.
backstep
Let me
when
respond,
on his
guys. Seriously.
border
Let me
skirmish
respond.
on
Let
Ukraine?
me respond. I don't want to use mute. Let me respond. All right. You're saying he took a club to the media. He's the best thing that happened to the media. He gave everyone access. He gave everyone, his administration leaked like a sieve. He's calling Maggie Haberman up in the middle of the night, leaking things to her. He's got Bob Woodward behind the scenes, unfettered access to his White House. He's not taking a club to the media. Taking a club to the media is shutting them out. It's ignoring them. It's not talking to them, not giving them more things to write about. He
Like
did not take a
DeSantis.
club to the media. He's the best thing that ever happened to the media. So when you guys have this weird, skewed hero vision of Trump, the emperor has no clothes. He was not bad for the media. He was not bad for the establishment. He was
I
not
think
bad
you
for
have
the
it
deep state.
backwards. I
They
think you have
love
it
this guy
backwards.
because they loved him
Trump
because
was
he's
good
easily
for the
manipulated.
media.
He's a 4-year old.
No, Trump was good for the media. The media did very well going after Trump. That's what made them successful. That's what catapulted and perpetuated all the bullshit that swarmed around him over the past 7 years. So it was good for the media, but it wasn't good for him. What he did was pull back the curtain, expose them for the activists that they are. No other
Oh, we
president,
didn't
no
know
other
the media were
politician
activists
has
before
ever
Trump got
went
into
back.
office. So when George W. Bush was in office, we didn't
Not
know
to
the
the
media hated people
degree.
on the right. Are you guys kidding me?
Trump wrote
What?
them. Trump
Only
wrote
on Earth
them.
3. Like what
Oh my
revisionist
God.
nonsense? This guy is not a super. He didn't expose a damn thing. We
He
already
said
knew
he
them.
responded to the media. He said exactly what all of us wanted to say, and
Okay, so
he ripped them to
he
shreds.
could have
And again,
he
that's
could have been a
fine.
Fox News
That
commentator to
is
do that. I
theatrics.
don't need him as
I get it,
president to
but
do
it
that.
helps. It's motivating. You have to
Oh
motivate.
my gosh, you
I'm
guys
gonna
are
end on
all
this. We are in a war. And the problem with most of these squishy DeSantis people, which I'm so tired of, I voted for him twice, but I'm not anymore,
no, we're
is
squishy. We want to win. We
when
want
you're
to
in
win. You
war, no,
guys are
you don't.
perpetual
I'm going
losers.
to tell you why. When you're in war, all wars produce battle fatigue. There's
Mhm.
there's two ways to handle it. You fight on or you retreat and surrender because you're cowards. And that's what
No,
it
no, no,
is.
no, no. Let's
Absolutely
look at
it
this.
is.
Let's look at this like a football game. Trump is an old quarterback, an old broken down quarterback who throws interception after interception after interception. And you guys are telling us that we shouldn't bring on a new quarterback. We shouldn't draft a new quarterback who's young, fresh, talented, who has put up numbers. He's put up numbers in college. Like you're telling us that we should stick with the old busted broke down. Like if it were up to you
Tell
guys,
me the policies
Brett
you
Favre would
want to
still be the
replace. Tell me
quarterback
the
of the
policies
Brett Favre
and
would
the
be this
economy
Brett Favre would
and
still
the
be the
energy
quarterback.
independence.
Brett Favre would come on.
Talk about the real things.
Let me
All you
finish.
talk about is personality.
It's not about
That's
no. It's
childish, dude. This
all right.
is
So
real
let me
stuff.
explain to you.
Go
Let me
check
explain
your
to you.
bank
He can
account.
have all the policies.
Next time you fill
Here's
up.
what we're gonna do. Hold on. I can hand my 11-year-old all of Trump's policy positions. That doesn't mean he's going to be able to accomplish his policy positions, right? Like you have to
He
have the
did
two.
accomplish them. Wait a
No,
minute.
no, no.
He did.
So he
All
repealed
go
Obamacare.
go and look.
He
Excuse
repealed
me?
Obamacare. Didn't
Again,
he repeal
he
Obamacare?
expected he expected the House and no, he
Excuses. Did
expected
he
the
finish
House and
building the
Senate
wall? Did
to
he
do
did
it.
do we
They
have
didn't do it.
did
And
did
they
he finish
didn't
building the
fund it.
wall?
Okay,
Did he
keep
fin
going, guy.
did he
It's
no,
again.
hold on. Did he finish building
Do
the wall?
presidents make law? Do
Did he
presidents
finish
make
Exact.
law
building the
free?
wall? Did he
Did
finish
he
building
have
the wall?
access to the power of the purse? No, Ryan did. Why didn't
Okay,
he
so
fund the
he
wall?
didn't
So
he didn't
answer
whip up
that
enough
question.
votes. He didn't whip up
Why
enough
didn't
votes.
again?
Again,
Why
this is
didn't
again, all you guys got
ask
is excuses
yourself
for this guy,
why
man.
why Ryan, the Bushes, all of them love DeSantis? Ask. Go ahead. Why did he change his
Why
Ukraine
do
position?
all of us who voted for Trump love DeSantis? Because
See,
DeSantis
here we
went to
go.
Florida.
Because
Why did he win by
the
20
battle
points in
fatigue
Florida?
got to you, and you're surrendering. That's
No, this is
why.
called sunk cost
No,
fallacy. You think
no, it
because you've
isn't.
invested into Trump and that you've invested time into worshiping him, that you must continue to worship him when all
This
the
is
data
called
shows that he is
reality.
an absolute loser.
This is
This
called
is called
reality.
sunk
I
cost
know that you're
fallacy.
obviously financially set to where gas prices don't matter, okay? Food
This is
prices
called
don't matter, but you totally disregard the people
there's
that it does
nothing
matter
that
to.
Trump did.
And Trump got 73 million voters in
Uh-huh.
2000. He
So what? He
increased the
lost. He
Republican vote.
lost the election.
Okay,
He
answer me
lost.
this. Do you
That's
believe
like
Joe
telling me,
Biden?
oh, well,
Do
the
you
Chicago
believe,
Bulls got 140 points. All right, well, if
yeah,
the other team got
yeah,
145,
against
it's
the
still an
Washington
L. Take the
Nationals,
L.
right? Okay. Hey,
Take
do
the
you
L.
believe, answer me this, do you believe Joe Biden got 81 million voters?
Yes.
Okay, well then, again, dude, there's nothing else that can be said. If
Why would
you
I not believe that? When mail-in voting was
you
a
don't
nation.
understand
Wait, hold on.
statistics,
Let me finish what I'm saying.
probability,
Let me finish what I'm saying.
and
When mail-in
data.
voting, when you increase the number of the easiness and the access of voting, of course, it's going to be a natural rise in the number of voters. Just like Trump got way more voters because there was nationwide. If you make it easier for people to vote, more people vote. So why am I surprised that Joe
So
Biden got
again, do
81
you
million
believe
votes?
it was 81 million voters or 81 million votes? And do you understand the difference? If
Yes,
not,
I do believe it was 81 million
ask your
voters.
11-year-old.
I believe it
Okay.
was 81 million voters. You guys don't
Okay,
seem to
well then,
understand the
how
concept
about
of
this one then?
Netflix versus
Okay,
Blockbuster.
okay, I got you.
So,
Here's a great one. It's a very simple concept. Our foundation of justice, okay, is
oh gosh.
represented in this country by Lady Liberty. Okay, she wears a blindfold, she holds scales, and she has a sword. Do you believe that Trump is receiving equal and blind justice?
No, I think he's getting off easier than the average
Okay,
person would
see,
get
then
off.
again, dude,
I believe
you
he's getting off
again,
easier than the average person would get off.
the one thing I'm impressed
Considering that the
with is
Department of
how
Justice.
Twitter and how the
Hold on,
internet
man. You're not
works
going to
between.
overtalk me. Considering that the Department of Justice negotiated with him for over a year for documents that he wasn't supposed to have. Over a year. Would they negotiate with you for over a year? Would they negotiate with me for over a year? Would they give us all these opportunities to course correct? Like, so no, justice is not equal. This guy is getting special treatment in a way that's positive for him. So don't bring me to nine. Those two tiers of justice, man. Yeah, ask a poor person if there's a two tier poor person if there's a two tier having that. Go ask somebody who's sitting in jail for a crime that
Actually,
they
I
didn't commit, who's
Let me
poor
ask
and
you
doesn't
this
have
then.
because
money for
Okay,
bail.
I agree
A-
with you. I agree with
I
you. So
appreciate you
answer me
sharing your
this.
take
Answer
on
me
that
this.
because I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you
he
can
has
hear
money
me.
for
I'm
all
having
the
audio
lawyers.
problems. Can you hear me? Free?
Yeah, go ahead,
Can you hear
guys. I,
me?
I really do got to wrap this up in like 5 minutes.
Because
I said that like 20 minutes ago.
I just want to thank you for sharing your take on both the 2020 election and also.
Oh, you broke up there.
Can you still hear me?
So listen,
I
listen,
can hear
guys.
you. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Your
you now.
take on that basically shows me that
Bottom line is
this was theater.
Trump
You weren't
Trump
actually
lost the
trying.
2020 election.
You weren't actually trying to engage in a
Trump
good
lost the
faith
2020 election.
conversation. You were trying
This is a
to
good faith
just
conversation, and I'm
take
gonna tell you
people
why.
down. Yeah,
You
no, because
no,
if you're sitting there saying Trump was treated better by the DOJ than an average citizen, what president would they wait a year and a half? Hello, Obama's still having court fights over a presidential records. Do you know anything about the Presidential
yeah,
Act?
but in the meantime, he
Oh,
does not
please.
have those presidential records in his house. He has
You,
presidential records.
he has them all
He
over
is,
the
hold
place.
on, let me finish my
He
statement.
has
Let
them
me
in
see
Rhode
again. You
Island. He
guys need
has
to
them
educate
in
yourself.
Chicago. He has them in
You guys need to
Hawaii.
educate yourself.
Oh, I'm the one that needs
No,
to be
he has them
educated.
he has them in the archives.
Yeah.
He has them with the National Archives, which is where you're supposed to have them.
No, that's who was
That's
fighting
where
him
you're
for
supposed to
it.
have those records.
That's who was fighting Obama for it.
That's fine, but they're in the custody of the
It's
archives.
you made it clear who you are,
You
how
guys
you
seem to
feel,
not want
and
to
what you
educate
stand
yourselves
for.
on these topics before you speak about them. And so that just tells me that you're not educating yourself in these topics. The fact that
Keep
you're
keep
well,
attacking me
did
personally,
the
as
fact that
opposed to
the fact
just
that you're
addressing my
questioning whether or
points.
not Biden got again, the fact that you're questioning, whoa, do you think Joe Biden got 81 million votes? I'm like, that's like asking me, like, do you think Netflix has more subscribers than Blockbuster? Like, of course, man. If you make things easier, the theory goes that if you make things easier and more accessible, then more people participate in them. So yes, Biden got 81 million votes.
How about
Yeah, that's not a
voters?
yes, 81 million voters. This is not hard. This is not a difficult concept to understand. If you can vote from while wearing while eating a bag of Cheetos in your boxer shorts and just drop it in the mail, of course more people are going to participate. That's like saying like I can't believe that Netflix could possibly when they first came out and they were shipping DVDs, I can't believe that Netflix would overtake Blockbuster. Oh, really? You think? Dropping something in the mailbox is not easier than going out and actually physically doing something? Like, why is this a hard concept for y'all to understand? This is not magic. This is not sorcery. This is just common sense. It's common sense. And the
Go
MAGA
look
people
at data
continue
and
to want to
numbers. I
listen,
mean,
y'all. Listen,
Blockbuster and Netflix. If that's your answer,
that is
really,
my answer.
yeah, I
If
got it.
for the first time in American history, we had a massive amount of people voting by mail. And now you guys are surprised. It's a conspiracy that Joe Biden got more votes than Obama. Okay. Well, how many people were voting by mail when Obama was running? Not that many. Okay. Had voting by mail been a thing when Obama was running, he would have probably gotten, way more votes. So I don't understand why this is a hard concept for you guys to understand. At the end of the day, all you guys do is make excuses for Trump's failures, and they are failures. He has failed. He has failed. He has not built the wall, right? He has not repealed Obamacare. He built up the greatest economy, and then you guys leave out the second chapter of the story, which is he tore it all down when he gave it over to Fauci. It's intellectually dishonest to say that, oh, well, we had great gas prices and he built up the economy and then not talk about the fact that he locked everybody in their homes. It's utter nonsense. It's
So he
utter
did that.
nonsense, and people
He
see
did
right
that,
through
right?
it.
He did that. So did DeSantis lock anyone in their homes or do any of
Yes,
that
for a
in the
short
beginning?
period.
Well,
Yes,
again, I don't think
course
Trump ever
corrected. Hold
mandated
on, let me
anything. He
respond to
left
that.
it up to he
Then he
left it up
course
to the
corrected.
governors.
Then he
He
course
left it
corrected.
up to the
So when
governors.
no, he did not, because when Brian Kemp wanted to reopen, he attacked Brian Kemp for trying to reopen. He did everything in his power to thwart Brian Kemp reopening the state of Georgia. So don't give me that he left it up to the governors. He tried to kneecap Brian Kemp for reopening. So
There's a
let's
lot
be
more to.
real
Okay,
here.
okay, okay. Again, we're obviously going to continue infighting, and that's fine. I'm going to tell you, uh, the Democrats know how to coalesce, know how to win the battles in the war. We sit here and get hung up on schoolgirl personality
It's not schoolgirl
issues. When
personality.
that's the issue, when that's your main argument, okay, again, congratulations. You're privileged to live in America, to have enough resources to make that your main kitchen table issue. And
No,
if
my,
that's
my
the
main
case, that's
issue is
fine.
that
I
Trump
get
will
it.
not win
That's fine.
I'm not even considering him a
And
general election.
DeSantis will win a general election. Okay.
Absolutely.
He's going to get
Absolutely.
more than 73 million, I guess,
Absolutely.
votes.
Yes.
Trump
Why is this
actually
hard for you to
okay.
understand? Why is it hard for you to understand that a man that wins Miami-Dade County, a Republican that wins Miami-Dade County, that wins Florida by 20 points, landslide, you've never seen it happen before. Why is it hard for y'all to understand that parents on the issues that DeSantis has championed, that parents are fed up. I don't know how old you are, but I have kids who are school age kids.
Is
We are fed up, and I'm telling you, I've spoken to Democrats, independents, people who care about politics, people who don't care about politics. Man, this issue, and again, I'm in California for a little vacation. Uh, Just in Glendale, California, man, they're damn near rioting because of the crap that they're putting in the schools. What candidate in this race has championed parental rights? It has been Ron DeSantis. And when I tell you that there's a coalition of parents who are not particularly political, but care about their doggone kids, who are itching to vote for DeSantis, hear me when I say that they will come out in droves to vote for DeSantis because they care about their children. They could give a damn about any of this other political stuff that you guys are talking about. All they care about is making sure that somebody's not at school telling their little boy that they're actually a little girl. That somebody's
okay.
not
Hey,
trying
thanks.
to trying to
Thanks for
trying
you.
to trying to give their kid access to genital mutilation without their permission. Like that's all they care about, man. That's the
You're
theme of this
you're gonna
election. If
get
you guys
hey
haven't figured it out already.
somehow okay, and that's all about big pharma too. I get it. And anyways, we can tit for tat here. I want to thank you first of all for allowing the spirited debate. I wasn't ready to jump in here and start. I wasn't ready to jump in here and start skirmish. Then he had to backtrack. That's all donor driven stuff, and
What did he what
that
again,
reeks
I'll
of
ask you the same thing that I
establishment.
asked
Let me finish.
Gavin.
That reeks of establishment GOP, the Bushies, all the
Oh, come
we're,
on.
and I'm just going to tell you, DeSantis,
You
look at
can't
his
tell me,
donors.
all right, so
Look
what
at
did
his
he change his
donors, man.
position to? I asked Gavin the same question. He couldn't answer me. You guys say he backtracked on Ukraine. All right, so his position was that it is not in the interest of the United States to get involved in a territorial dispute. Has he changed his position to it is in the interest of the United States to get involved in a
Absolutely,
territorial dispute?
absolutely,
No, he has
absolutely,
not. No, find me that statement,
absolutely.
man. All right, well, you can find me that statement. Tweet it to
I
me.
know,
I will retweet
I
it
know, I
if you can
know.
find it.
It was a border dispute. We have no real interest other than, again, political BS to be over there because the war
Okay.
machine needs to be fed.
When did DeSantis move away from
Okay,
that
we'll go look
position?
it up. We'll go look it up because it's
He
real easy to find because it happened
You
within a
know, I asked
24-hour
Gavin the
period.
same question and Gavin had no answer for me, man, because there
I
is no
remember it. It was completely different than what he originally said, and
nope.
it reeked. I'm just going to tell you, okay, I can find it, but my instinct was it reeks of GOP establishment. He's
Eh,
sneaking in the back door of donor events. He doesn't want to be seen with all the big donors. I can just promise you this from a MAGA
Trump is the
standpoint and just
establishment.
from an American, we're not going back to the Bush, Romney, McCain establishment GOP. We're not.
You realize they
If we
got you though,
do,
right?
it's over.
Wait a minute. You
That's
realize
why
they
we
got
got
you. You
Trump, and we're
realize you
not going
realize you've
back.
been brainwashed, right?
That's fine.
because
That's fine.
prior to announcing that he was running against, listen to what you just said. You literally just said that, oh, I wish DeSantis would have waited his turn. He would have been better in 2028. So you're saying that, so is he an establishment rhino or not? He's only an establishment rhino because he's running against your guy right now, because he's a threat
No,
to your
Trump
guy.
has to finish taking
So
out the
you're saying that
swamp.
you're okay with
The
an
swamp.
establishment
Again,
rhino
the
in
swamp has to
2028?
be taken out. Okay. And what you want to do is just go back to the swamp right now. Just because
My man,
DeSantis cannot
listen to what
do
I'm
it,
saying to you
he
right
needs
now.
the money. He needs the money. Show
You
his
guys can
donor
continue to
list.
hero worship all you want. Trump has
Call it
not
what you
taken
want.
anything out. He has not accomplished anything in taking out the swamp. He's grown the swamp. He hired John Bolton. He hired the swamp. He brought in people who were the swamp. So he had 4 years
He
as
took the
president.
existing
He had
thing.
4 years as
He
president. The
believed,
swamp only
he
got bigger.
believed, he believed that they'd be like Schumer and Pelosi and
He
rally
believed. So he was
100%. Well,
wrong. So he was
again,
wrong. So he was
exactly,
wrong, right?
exactly,
Okay,
because
so then he
his
doesn't
own
deserve to be
party.
president because he's
Okay,
an
again,
idiot.
no, okay, okay.
Again, he has a
I'm
track
brain.
record,
Okay,
and now you
okay.
want to make excuses for him because he
No,
believed
no,
or he was deceived. No, 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 no.
no. He
He has one
believed when he
job is
went
to
in
make
there
good
and he had
hiring
these people.
decisions.
Okay,
He
then
has he has
why
he,
didn't
I,
McConnell and
listen,
Ryan?
I gotta wrap this up.
I
But
know,
listen,
I know,
he's
I
got
know.
one job. That's to make good hiring decisions. He made horrible hiring decisions, and you guys want to talk about? Well, he thought. I don't care what he thought. If you're my quarterback and you thought that the wide receiver was going to be over
Okay,
here but
okay.
not over
All
there,
right.
but you threw an interception, do I care what you thought? I don't care.
See,
You threw an
you're
interception.
giving
You're
DeSantis
benched.
people have to give a pass to the establishment, to Ryan and McConnell. You do not hold them accountable at all. That's all I need to know. Speaking of brainwashing, I go to bed knowing Biden didn't get 81 million voters, and I'll land it there.
Yeah, well, he got 81 million voters. He beat your guy. Your guy lost to a guy running from his basement, which says a whole lot about your guy. Trump is not the guy that's going to win the general, and there is no rationale for him getting more votes this time than he got last time. He's lost people like me. Take a look at all the DeSantis people. They were all on Trump's side. They all voted for him in 2020. He lost us, and a lot of us are not going to vote for him in the general election. I'm not voting for Trump in the general election. What do I look like
You're not winning
debasing
the
myself?
war.
What
You're
do I
not
look like?
winning the war. If battle
What do I look
fatigue,
like
if you can't
debasing
handle battle
myself?
fatigue,
What do I
you have
look
no
like
business
debasing
being in the
myself
fight.
by voting for Trump in the general election when I know that he is not worthy to be president of the United States? I would rather be loyal opposition. I would rather be the insurgency against the Democrats than have somebody in there with a cult following who can do no wrong, who cannot course correct, who cannot admit mistakes. I would never support that in a general election. What do I look like? I would have to answer for that one day. I'm not answering for voting for this guy when I know that he's not a good person and he's not a good person to lead this country. I'm not doing that. So, what's your
Are you going to
like? There
vote
is.
for him if he
I'm not
wins
going to open up
the?
a whole
Are you
nother
going to
can of
vote for
worms.
him?
All I will say is
Are you going to
this:
vote for him if he wins the primaries?
absolutely not. I'm not voting for
Okay,
him
well
in the
then
general
you're not
election.
serious. You're not serious. Then don't say I'm battling against the Republican or the Democrats because you're not.
Well, again, I gave you my rationale for
Again,
why I
that
will not
speaks.
vote.
Okay, that
I will
speaks
not vote
volumes.
for the
Okay,
destruction
that's
of the
fine.
Republican
Again,
Party.
I'm not trying to force your hand in voting. You just let your game out for everyone to hear.
Buddy, I've tweeted about that probably about a million times. All you gotta do is check my Twitter. I will never vote for Trump again under any circumstances. I would rather be the insurgency than to prop up someone who further pushes the Republican Party left, to prop up somebody
Left.
who further
You're
dumbs
actually
down.
supporting the
Hold on,
left.
hold on, hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying. And
Circular logic. I see why Gavin got frustrated. It's totally
I
like
gotta wrap up here in just a second. I would rather be the loyal opposition, the insurgency against the Democrats, rather than have a pseudo Democrat in office in the form of Trump with a cult following behind him. He cannot course correct. He cannot admit that he's done wrong. There is no upside to having somebody like that in office again. So, yes, if he was to somehow win the nomination, I will do everything in my power to see that he never becomes president. I will become the biggest campaigner against Trump, and I will write in RFK Jr. if he's not going to run as a third party. I'll write him in, but I think RFK Jr. will probably run as a third party, and that would be very interesting. I think he would be a very interesting choice. But am I going to vote for Trump? Am I going to vote for Trump because he has an R next to his name? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And you people who are saying, well, I'll vote for the eventual nominee, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Principles doggone matter, man. Like if Satan was won the Republican nomination, I'm not voting for Satan. If AOC won the Republican nomination somehow, if AOC won the Republican nomination somehow, I'm not voting for AOC. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it just because she has an R next to her name. How stupid is that? I would rather be the insurgency. I would rather fight for the things that I believe in and fight against the things that I think are hurting the country and thwart every move of the Democrats rather than letting someone in who can do no wrong and who cannot be questioned. Absolute utter nonsense. I'm not doing it. So anyway, appreciate y'all joining the space. I went on way longer than I was supposed to. I got work I'm supposed to be doing right now, and I'm in trouble with my wife for going over time. So I'm gonna have to smooth that over with something. So appreciate you guys joining. I'm sorry the debate with Gavin turned into a little bit of a you know what show. He was not prepared to debate. He wanted to debate my personality and he wanted to talk about how awful he thought I was, but he wasn't ready to defend his guy. And so I'm glad you guys were able to see that. I'm glad you guys were able to see the little racist dig he took at me. Oh, Section 8. Okay, cool, 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 cool. That train's never late. I'm glad we were able to expose that here on the space. It's recorded. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be tweeting here and there if my wife doesn't smash my phone into 5,000 little pieces later.